I'm Dionne Miller from ABC7, and you're listening to Brags in the Stands.
Khalil, do you guys feel like underdogs? And if so, have you used that as motivation during the season, and will you this week?
Me personally, I always feel like an underdog. It's just in me. And I know these guys do as well, man. It's a lot of disrespect that we, been hearing. And so obviously you got to use all of that to your advantage and not to speak on it so much, but to go out and use our actions. And that's what we're looking forward to doing.
Sorry, Pat, go ahead.
Where's the disrespect coming from? Where are you hearing that?
Maybe I'm making it up, or maybe I'm not. You know what I'm saying? You just hear certain things, and you know what I'm saying? Take offense to it, but in the right ways, you know what I'm saying? Use it to your advantage.
With the Bears, they started this new tradition last year where they celebrate their wins the correct way.
Waddle and Sylvie, ESPN 1000, don't miss it.
I know what you mean. It's like their own Philly. Okay.
Okay, I think what it is.
We shouldn't be showing this. Am I crazy?
What a great sign that is. What have I told you? 17 minutes of rain would wash away 108 years of traffic.
Do you see this team growing into the team that you were in 2005?
Good claps, everybody.
You are ridiculous.
Going in to Sunday, is there a pressure because you're in, or is or is it less than it would be ordinarily because you kind of got in on the last day? Do you feel like you're playing with house money at all?
I would say maybe a little bit more to the secondary one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got nothing to lose. We know everybody's overlooking us. They have the back half of the season. So I think we've been just playing with that edge, that chip on our shoulder, and we don't have anything to lose. So we should go out there and play free, but that doesn't mean you're going out there and not doing your job. We got to be locked into the small details of our game plan and our job descriptions and just play hard and play with a lot of passion and will. And if we do that, I think we'll give ourselves a good chance, but we got to come in playing smart and play disciplined football. But that doesn't mean coming in being uptight. I think go in, play free, and like we got nothing to lose.
There he is, Mitchell Trubisky, ladies and gentlemen, trying to play with nothing to lose. House money. You heard it here first. I am your host, Gregory Braggs Jr., and this is my co-host, graphic designer, extraordinaire, and producer, Jacob Hopanek, and this is Braggs in the Stands, and we are back and better than ever. It is playoff week, super wild card, spectacular playoff week. We got all sorts
super
of
wild card spectacular, and Greg's computer is better than ever as well.
Got a brand new computer. I traded out that Lenovo for this Dell, and it's cooking so far. I don't want to jinx it. It's the first test run. Better with the new one, but yeah, new camera and everything else. So that being said, we're going to get right into our special guest because like I said, everything's going good now. So hopefully the internet goes good while we have our next special guest, and that is Dionne Miller. And I will share this picture every single time she comes on because it is an all-time classic. I shared it on Twitter earlier today and it never gets old. Welcome back to Braggs in the Stands, Dionne Miller. How you doing tonight?
Honestly, you throw that picture up, my credibility goes right out the window.
Oh, no,
yeah, right. Not in this house. Not in this house. You get more credibility.
I love it. You guys, the energy right now is so great, and I'm so excited for this weekend. Not only because the Bears, but it goes Bears, Browns, Buckeyes for this Ohio girl.
Yeah.
That is my 24-hour span from Sunday afternoon to Monday night, and I can hardly contain myself. Now, I do have to work. Otherwise, I might be on some sort of bender, but I'm very excited about my football weekend. And I'm anxious to see what this Bears team looks like because, as Mitch said, they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, nothing to lose. Why not, right? I saw earlier that home teams this year had a losing record in the regular season. That plays into the whole idea that there isn't much of a home field advantage without a crowd. Right. I know there will be some fans in attendance. Yeah, last week I had my big football weekend of Bears, Packers, of course, and then I'm a Notre Dame fan. That didn't go as well. So I'm rooting for you on the other end, especially since you were nice enough to give us your time tonight. So let's get right into it. It's Bears Saints wild card. Bears are back in the playoffs after everything that has transpired over the last 2 years. It's almost shocking to think they're at this point where they can, the slate is wiped clean. The history isn't erased, but they can make up for it all on Sunday. What kind of chance do you give them to do that this Sunday?
Oh, not much. And I want to, honestly, I do. I mean, I looked back, when was the last time I spoke to you guys? Was it early November, right? And they were in that slide and it was awful. And I feel like at that moment, if you had said they're going to squeak into the playoffs, I would have laughed in your face. I mean, I really didn't think it was possible. And I think I'd feel better if they had beaten the Packers, right? We feel like they had played a legit team and they showed that they can beat them when they had to. And they didn't. And so there's this kind of bittersweet, meh. All right, well, they're going to go to the playoffs, but what to what end? And yet we know what we've seen from the Saints the last few Januaries where they've lost in heartbreaking fashion on the postseason stage. So anything is possible. I do feel like the Bears can play loose. I think no minimal fans plays in their favor. I want it to be a good game. I don't want it to end in national embarrassment because then when they have to make decisions about the future of these people, no one's scratching their heads, right? It looks like they made a wise decision with whatever it is. And at this point, I don't see anything changing. So let's feel good about the way it finishes. Even if it is Sunday, let's feel good about it. Let's not let's not have it be a double doink situation where you're like, oh my gosh, the problems are just mounting, right?
Well, Jake and I were there for that moment, and we're certainly hoping to exercise those demons. We have a funny video to go along with that I shared the other day. And Jake is always appreciative because he gets to relive that horrible moment every year. Every year, I'll always tweet it. It never matters. But no, you're 100% right, and it's. You know, for me, I had said when it got to its worst moment, and you were on right in those worst moments, and we were talking about get rid of everybody. But I did preface it by saying either make the playoffs.
There's Bearman right there.
There he is,
Bearman.
Don Wachter, our good man. Good man of the region, Don Wachter, the Bearman. And it's a classic picture, so I had to share it, Don. And but yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I had said at the time, either make the playoffs or lose out. Now, granted, I'm like you. I wanted them to get in on their own merits and not Arizona falling apart. But at the same time, I didn't preface the criteria. It was either make the playoffs or lose out. They made the playoffs. And the reason you root for that as a fan is because it is basically a coin flip. As great as the Saints are, we've seen it time and again. I pulled some of these stats that I found interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Deshaun Watson stuff. But I saw.
Can we talk about that too?
Yeah, we absolutely will get to that. But I do find some of these stats interesting, that these road teams in these wild card games seem to have a little bit of an advantage just because, I don't know, not expecting them to win. You see in this stat, 6 of the last 8 wild cards over the past 2 years. Road teams are 8-4. You've got Brad Biggs sharing over the last 10 years. The 6th seed is 11 of their last 20. And then the one that stood out to, and then of course Trey Hendrickson is out. So that's going to play into some of this.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, it's like, the Saints last year had the Vikings, the number 6 seed in their house, and the Vikings turned around and won. So that's why, for me, regardless of as ugly as it is, I'm happy they're in, because it's a 1 week at a time thing. You have no idea between COVID or an injury on the first series. I mean, Drew Brees is playing with broken ribs right now.
If you get some good pass rush going, Drew Brees is very susceptible to getting re-injured there, and who knows what could happen.
So I get it, but at the same time, the Saints deserve, at the same time, Dionne, the Saints deserve their respect, because another thing I pulled up, and this is from my guy, the George U on Twitter. Look at these numbers for the Saints defense across the board. They're top 5 in almost every category that's worth something to write home about. How is this Bears offense going to get back on track from what they were showing? And then, of course, it got stalled against a good Green Bay Packers team.
That, I think, is the question, right? I mean, I think what we've seen from Mitch since he was reinserted as the starter is a different level of confidence, is a different level of I've got nothing to lose mentality, where he's playing more loose and he's playing with leadership that we haven't seen from him, because he knows, like, this is the only game left that's guaranteed to him right now. Like, that's it. And so I think that his demeanor, all of that will tell a lot. If he's able to get them a lead, if he's able to establish some sort of balance where it's not just they're not playing catch up the whole time. I think we're going to see a lot in that early parts of the game as to how Mitch handles it, because this is his second postseason game. He learned a lot from that Eagles game and the preparation. I mean, he was so new and young then. And even Nagy this week said he's a different quarterback right now, different person, all of those things. And I think that plays a big role to it. I know I'm like such a girl. I'm all about the emotional aspect of all these things, but I really think it does matter. Like, I think that makes a difference. And Mitch is playing for his future, not just with the Bears, but in this league. And the guys in that locker room respect the heck out of him. And I think that the way he approaches this game will set the tone for that offense. I'm more concerned about this defense that suddenly looks so mediocre. And I do feel like, the offense has played well, but they've played well enough for a Super Bowl caliber defense, not for a middle of the road defense. And that's what they've turned into the last few weeks. And no one can pinpoint why. Like, exactly no one. We've asked them point blank, why is the productivity down? And most of it's like, well, some guys are hurt and we're dealing with what? Like, this is a defense that would rip your face off. They would never make an excuse. And now they're sitting back and it just seems it's just different. Something's different there. And I feel like that is where my concern lies more than anything. I mean, I think the offense can score some points, but can the defense step up? Can Eddie Jackson do something, please? Can Khalil, can Robert Quinn, can Akeem Hicks be a difference maker in the trenches? Can I mean, is Roquan not going to be there? And so what does that mean? And what about
that was
Jalen
going to be
Johnson?
my next question to you is because to me, I mean, the defense was having their issues prior to these injuries, but the loss of Jalen Johnson and Roquan Smith certainly were standing out in the last game against Green Bay when you're facing a higher caliber, talented offense, and you need those guys to chase the you see, Josh Woods getting lost in coverage, and you see, Duke Shelley getting beat in coverage. You need these guys. What are the chances we see Jalen Johnson or Roquan Smith this weekend against the Saints?
Roquan, I give like a 0% chance. I mean, why? Again, it's a 1-week season, so I feel like do you risk it, and then if they would happen to pull a miracle upset, would he then be injured for the future? And with Jalen Johnson, I give that a better chance. He was able to do some things. I saw him on Thursday out there, not doing much. I mean, they give us like a 6-minute window to see them, but he was at least there. He was at least doing some activity. He was throwing the ball around, and I feel encouraged that he was able to do some practicing this week. But Roquan hasn't done any, hasn't even been seen, and I feel like it's just prolonging the inevitable that he's going to be worth out. And I mean,
you saw the video. His
arm, you guys, it's not good, and it's not worth it, and it's sad because he has had, and obviously an all-pro season, and he's been so good for that defense, and he's been in the box score every single week. He's been a leader, and he's the quarterback out there, and that's a huge loss if he's not able to be there.
Yeah.
So
majorly got overlooked in the all-pro voting too.
Oh my gosh, right?
So
second team, what in the actual what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just
ridiculous.
He deserved to be first team, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And you could tell he tweeted something, and he's normally pretty quiet about. He normally just puts up positivity quotes, and some people are trying to understand where all that's been coming from this year, but he rarely tweets football stuff. And today he quote tweeted someone that was showing the stats against the linebackers that made it over. So you could tell it pinched a nerve with him, and maybe, if he gets out there, but like I said, I think it would be a miracle as well. But before I let Jake fire away at you, you did mention Nagy talking about how their relationship is different and how Mitch has matured. And I did have some audio from Mitch where he talks about how he's become more vocal with Matt Nagy. And I want to play that, and I want to get your reaction to it afterwards.
Dan's question. I'm just curious, how is your relationship with Matt different than it was maybe a year ago at this time with everything that's happened? And I know you've talked in the past kind of about being a little more vocal and assertive with him, but I'm just curious what else has changed.
Yeah, it's good. We have open communication and dialogue about what I think needs to happen within this offense. And I think he has more respect for my opinion about things that I feel comfortable with that I think will help this offense and help do what fits us and what our guys do best. So it's just getting on the same page and having those conversations and communication and doing things that we both feel comfortable with his background and what I think will fit. So it's been good. We've rebuilt the trust, and it's been positive, and I think that's been seen throughout the offense. And what I think is most important is just my continued relationship with him, and the other guys on the offense, just having that trust come back to life. And I think you're starting to see it more on the field and execution and how we go out to practice every day and practice really hard for one another.
So that's what stood out to me. The word that stood out to me in that was rebuilt the trust. And, it could be, him trying to rebuild the trust with Matt, but I kind of hear it more as, rebuilt the trust, on Mitch's end. He's got to trust him too. And so, to me, one of the biggest things was that, to me, this was the turning point of the season because we learned two things in this moment. One, Matt isn't 100% sure what he's doing out there because Nick's trying to tell him, look, stop bringing out guys while I'm no huddling. And there's Mitch standing behind learning something. And now you hear him talking about how he's more vocal about the plays he wants to have instituted. And I don't think when you talk about how Mitch played in the 2018 playoffs, I don't think he would ever question a play call Matt Nagy called to him.
Never.
And I think that's the different quarterback we have coming this Sunday. So that's what I want you to speak on is how much of that is to be taken seriously. I hear a lot of people, poo-pooing Mitch's, kind of resurgence here in the last month, averaging 350 yards, 400 yards of offense, 30 points a game. Where do you see his maturity when it comes to, with Matt Nagy and this offense?
I've noticed a lot. I will never buy into what Nagy says that the benching was good for him. I will never buy into that. But I do think that it altered their friendship relationship, because I feel like the first two seasons, like 18 and 19, they were super close, super close. And then when Mitch was blindsided by being benched, I don't think anything was communicated to him, guys. Like, based on what I've heard, I don't think there was ever this discussion of like, okay, we're going to go with Nick right now, but we want you to work on XYZ. And then I don't think anything was ever said. And that is incredibly damaging when this is the coach who's like trying to bring you along and was brought in to make you the quarterback of the future and the present and all the things. And then that happens to you. And yeah, that trust was broken because Mitch thought Matt believed in him in a beyond the backup quarterback coming in. And that changed dramatically in week 3 because he didn't see it coming. And so he said to us after that, somebody said, how long did it take for that relationship or for you to get over that? And he was like, a couple days. I called total BS. That took a long time. And I think now that he's back and he's speaking up, you guys, because again, he's realizing I have nothing to lose. This is my career. If I want to play in this league and I want to prove that I can't be scared. Can't be scared to say something. I have to trust my gut. I know what I'm talking about. And I think watching Nick get frustrated in that same offense gave Mitch that permission to say, wait a minute, maybe he doesn't know everything that maybe I do what I'm thinking would work. And I know myself and to trust himself even a little bit more. And I think that has led to a lot of this success, whether Nagy will ever admit that or not. I just don't think there was a lot of communication when he got benched of like, hey, Mitch, you're going to be okay. We're going to help. I don't think there was any of that. I think it was Nick's here. He's our guy. We're going to deal with him until they couldn't anymore, until he gets carted off the field and they have no choice. And then they realize, well, that was really a dumb decision to begin with. And so they're kind of chasing their tail though. But that's kind of, I believe that from Mitch, that he had to trust Nagy again too. I totally believe you on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's valid. And I think there was a rumor that DiFilippo was actually the person that communicated that to him on the sideline for that Atlanta game, that, hey, we're pulling you out, which isn't necessarily probably the way you want to hear it if you want to hear that from your head coach. So, but kind of to switch gears for a minute, we talked about the defense briefly, and you had mentioned how you've seen kind of this yin and yang defense where you start out the season, you're the strong point of this team. You're what you expect to be carrying this team is this defense. And then all of a sudden you get about, later in the season, the defense, you're letting your offense carry you because the defense has completely fallen off. So how do you make sense of that? Because only until now are we in a situation where, well, I mean, there were injuries. Jalen got hurt, not having Eddie Goldman all year, things like that. But now you have a few injuries creeping around, but there was still uncharacteristic play from this defense for a lot of this season, which is not what anybody was expecting. Do you think that there's something there with the guys and maybe not trusting Chuck, or what do you make of that?
Okay, I adore Chuck Pagano. I really do. And he has a perspective different than a lot of other coaches because of the things that he's been through. And so the way he he holds himself accountable. He says all the right things. And it's just a different aggressiveness than they had under Vic Fangio. And maybe some of that is age. Maybe some of that is wear and tear. Maybe some of it is that there were injuries and stuff like that. But there's some disconnect there. And I actually think if there is any change made on this team, it's there at defensive coordinator. And I don't know anything from that, but that's what would make the most sense to me at this point, because the talent is there. The money they've invested in that defense. Yes. Oh my goodness. Like, they've got to perform. And the fact that they have regressed this season as much as they have, and that, yes, they've had injuries, but at the same time, it's always been this like depth that they've had, and everybody has rising to the occasion, and like guys around them are making each other better. Like Khalil is making everybody better, and Akeem. I think the value of Akeem Hicks cannot be overlooked ever. I mean, when he's gone, it's just a drastically different defense. It's just, that's how it looked this season, and it's how it's always been. But like, just in the secondary, they haven't looked on the same page as they have in the past, and I think that explains some of it. I will say, I don't want to hold Chuck totally responsible, but somebody's going to be. And I kind of feel like it might end up being him in the end.
Well, that's what I want to ask, because we got one of our most loyal listeners. His name's Chubbs, and he's on the Bears Twitter streets all day long, and he talks tough on there, but he's got a big heart too, and he wants to know, because he wants the media to be tougher on these guys, especially when they were on the slide. He was one of the biggest proponents of these guys in the media are not tough enough on these coaches. So when you talk to Chuck Pagano, have you guys been able to ask him why he hasn't been able to, all this money, all this talent is on that side of the ball? You're watching last week, Danny Trevathan. I said it on Waddle and Sylvie. You're lining up Danny Trevathan with a guy that runs a 4.5, and you're not even jamming at the line of scrimmage, and you're blitzing off the edge. I'm no football guy, but how can you put Danny in a position to succeed when the dude's going to blow past him and the blitz is not going to get there in time? Khalil Mack, you got to scheme him to be a bigger difference maker with the amount of money you have in there. You're seeing Robert Quinn being dropped back in coverage to cover tight ends. I could go on and on. The biggest thing is falling into zone on 3rd and long and giving up first downs over and over and over. And those are
over again. Yes.
For the entire team, not just the defense. So to Chubbs' point, have you guys been able to really grill Pagano about, this regression with this defense as it has been since Vic Fangio left?
Honestly, Greg, like my question to Chuck this week was, can you pinpoint why the production hasn't been there? And he hemmed and hawed and couldn't. I mean, they can't see. He's like, I've got to coach better. And it's like, okay, well, you've been saying that for weeks, and now we're in the postseason. Like we shouldn't be having these conversations, and after the Packers game, I want to say the first time some of my colleagues in the media went to the Packers post game interviews and like their press conferences, and not once was anybody saying we need to figure out the why and we need to do, like, they don't talk like that. They expect to win, and it's just a different vibe, and that's not what you're hearing from this Bears team, which again brings us back to there's so much work to do. We've tried to ask him. I know he's been asked more than once, like what is wrong, what has happened, and he never will say something specific or call anybody out except himself. And
he's been a head coach before, so he knows the game, right?
Exactly. So I don't know if they're having different conversations behind closed doors. I will say this, with Vic Fangio, that defense was ferocious from go.
You'll have to assume he'll be the scapegoat when the season ends if it doesn't win and in a Super Bowl, because it's clear as day that the defense has taken an inappropriate step back for the amount of money.
Not to call him a scapegoat, but I mean, literally, there's no reason with the talent that's on the. I mean, you can't deny the talent that's on this defense. You can't.
No.
The Lions game, the way they gave up those scores at the end so quickly.
It's baffling.
One time, Dionne, when they used to let us at games, and I'd be in the tunnel yelling at everyone coming out. Chuck Pagano's coming out, and I'll tell you a little side story. And I'm on the phone with my buddy Phil Atoshin, and he's like, "Tell him to play man and blitz the house." So I was like, all right, I don't know anything about football, but I'm like, Chuck, he's signing footballs. I'm like, Chuck, play man and blitz the house. And he turned around and he looked me dead in the eye and goes, "You're crazy." And I was like, I know. So, but, going back to what I kind of teased earlier, the big news that hit yesterday on Twitter was, Deshaun Watson over here, this picture that has lived in infamy for Chicago Bears fans as kind of a tongue-in-cheek almost at this point. And now all of a sudden, some crazy weird, how Twitter can be weird and things to get into. But we went through this before with Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler, and people laughed at it. And a few months later, Brandon came walking through those doors. So here we go. Deshaun Watson, someone finds a tweet from the 2008 where he says, "I like this weather," and
in June, everyone likes Chicago weather in June.
Blow it up, and before you know it, Deshaun Watson, playing the game back, which I love, follows two weathermen from Chicago. What do you make of this? You see Mike Jensen putting here, and his whole Twitter exploded, getting a notification that he's got Deshaun Watson. What, do you see anything into this? Is it wrong to even be talking about this with 3 days leading up to a playoff game? That's what I'm reading this, and don't get me wrong, anybody will take Deshaun Watson on the Bears, but it seems highly inappropriate to even be discussing this 3 days before a playoff. Do you think it's gotten into Hallis Hall at all, or do you take these reports seriously? Where do you stand on this little story that pops up?
I don't know. I mean, you're right. Twitter is a crazy place, but at the same time, we've seen crazier things happen. I guess, is it inappropriate to talk about a couple days before a playoff game? Not when you're an 8-8 team and you have no business being in the playoffs anyway. Like that. I mean, in my brain, I'm like, no, this is a great storyline. Like, keep it going. Let's see what happens here. Like, I would love to know. We all know he's not happy with how things have gone with the Texans. And so, would he be open to it? Maybe. How in the actual world would the Bears work that out? I have no idea. But I also scratch my head sometimes that Khalil Mack plays for the Bears. So I wouldn't put anything past a guy like Ryan Pace who's fighting for his job. So you never know. Never know. I say never in the NFL, and you can't, especially after the year we just came out of.
We haven't had a first-round pick in 2 years. It's going to take a minimum to do this one. And, I always remember when we got Jay Cutler, it was like a holiday. It was the day after April Fool's Day, and we all thought it was somebody trying to pull an April Fool's joke because we had never had a serious quarterback in this town. And Kyle Orton was efficient, but not good enough. We get Jay in. I throw a ticker tape. I go to the Bears Expo that year, and I forced everyone at Soldier Field in the Cadillac Club to give Lovie Smith and Jerry Angelo a standing ovation for their courage.
Oh my God!
I swear to God, I have a video of it somewhere on Jenny's old camera. It's still available, and that's when me and Joniak became buddies. And then he throws 30 picks that season, and I'm ready to burn it down. I was so upset. It was the most upsetting season of our lives. Jake can attest. We were. You want to talk about some benders? We had some benders watching those games. He had like 4 or 5 interception games that year. So it's like I kind of think about that. Like it would be so Bears to trade the farm for the mistake of Deshaun Watts not getting Deshaun, and then him coming here and we don't have enough anywhere else, and then he's not, just like he's doing so right now. And I'm not saying don't try it if you have an opportunity. I'm just talking about Bears irony here, and I also think it's a little weird 3 days before a playoff game, and we got all of Bears Twitter already ready to make them deal. It's like, man almighty, we just Bears fans are crazy, and I get it. We all want a championship, so I don't blame them.
Totally, and I think Deshaun knows that. I mean, he's had enough Bears fans all up in his DMs over the years. Like I am telling you, he knows what he's doing. He is not. This is not some sort of rookie. This is a veteran move.
Would you give up Portillo's? Would you give up? I'm serious. Give up Portillo's and Lou Malnati's for life for Deshaun Watson.
I would, yeah.
But I would too.
Would you put ketchup? Would you put ketchup on your hot dog forever for life for Deshaun Watson?
I'm sorry, I like ketchup. I mean, I'm sorry, sue me. I do.
I put ketchup on my hot dog.
You do, okay.
But I do when I make a Chicago dog. I might sneak a little ketchup on there. I did finally learn going to games at Wrigley that I like a Polish dog with just mustard, and that took me a while to accumulate that Chicago taste. So, what do you think about this? The Chicago Bears, this season's been goofy enough, and now they're on Nickelodeon with these crazy eyeballs. And of course, couldn't have been a better candidate to be on the Nickelodeon game.
I know.
Are you going to be taping it? Are you excited to see this? I mean, I'm excited to show my
gosh,
daughter.
I'm so excited to see it, and how I just want to see how they're going to like transition from what SpongeBob or whatever's on before the game, and then suddenly it's gonna welcome to the NFL. Like what? Like it's so bizarre. It's so weird, and yet of course it's so 2020. It's so 2020. It's so Bears.
I will definitely be watching that.
You've got 2 Bears, and the last time they played, they were fighting, and these 2 guys are ready to fight again. They're already getting all fired up on Twitter. How are they gonna? I was asking Waddle and Sylvie, what kind of graphics are they gonna use when they start throwing punches again? Like a head explodes or something like Wiley Coyote.
You can't see anything.
There's going to be so much slime on that game, like all over the place. I again, just don't embarrass yourselves, Bears. That's all I'm asking.
Well, it's the Bears, so it's one way or the other. It's either going to be the most miraculous game you've ever seen. No matter what, it's going to be close.
Entertain us. Keep it entertaining.
Bears Packers was close, and the Packers are running like a well-oiled machine. Jake's been laughing at me all week because I believe the Bears will win, and the only reason I believe that is because last week I was seriously fearful of the Bears game against the Packers, and I haven't been. I picked them to win because I'm a meathead, but I was scared all week long. I'm terrified of Aaron Rodgers. I got field passes one time, and it was for Bears Packers when they clinched the division. And pregame, he ran right by me. I was zip. I didn't say one word to him because you don't poke the tiger. He's not a bear, but you don't poke the tiger because he will rip your face off. But here we go. We got all the expert analysts. I went 8-8 in the midway minute. My guy Kevin Kadick asked me to enter picks. I got to see if I can get over 500 this week. But it's not easy to pick this Bears team. But here we go. All the experts, and I know Chubbs might lose his mind by me calling them experts, but here they are. Honestly, to Matt Bowen and Patrick Finley, shout out. 13
and 3 for Finley is pretty good.
Team, he should get an award for that, truly. Yeah. But that's where I'm at with it now. Going back to the Bears Saints game, I know you said earlier you weren't feeling great about it, but I need you to give us your best hopeful pitch here, and obviously we'd love to hear your prediction unless you're waiting to give it away on a later show closer to the game.
I'm not. That stuff. Honestly, I thought they were going to beat the Packers last week. I was ready to give them their own, get in on your own accord, and then I felt like it was anybody's game, but because they didn't, again, I go back to, I feel like they don't really have a chance. I hate saying that. I don't want to say that. I don't want it to be a blowout. I really don't. I want it to be a good game. So I'm going to go, the defense has not looked good. I want to be 31-24 Saints.
I'd give it a close.
I know, right?
Honestly, I don't
scare me.
I don't blame you because if you just match up the Bears, any position group against the Saints team, I don't know where they come out on top. I don't know where they have the advantage. I don't think they have one. Having
that's why they're gonna win, Jake.
Having Trey Hendrickson out is big. He's a great player. But across the board, there's no matchup I love here. They're not even in Chicago. We can't even bank on Bears weather. So it's a tough one. I feel like they're rolling on any given Sunday. That's what they got.
2018, right? The defense isn't what it was. It's the offense. Now you're more worried about the defense. We're not worried about the kicker. We're not at home. We're on the road. We're not favored. We're the underdog. They've got. That's why I feel it. That's when the Bears expect the unexpected with this team. It's all year long. They even within games and within seasons, as soon as you doubt them, that's when they come back. As soon as you hype them, that's when they fall apart. So we've reached that point, in my opinion. Now I'm banking off gut here. I'm not pulling facts here. This is a fan show. But I just know how the trends go, and then you've got some stats to back those certain kind of trends up. So I feel it. Drew Brees has been injured this year, one tackle away from being banged up. You saw in the Cardinals game, they had Kyler Murray out there and out he goes. They lose. They're not in the playoffs now. And, Trey Hendrickson comes out. He's out. Alvin Kamara, he'll be back, but hey, he's been off for 2 weeks and put his entire team in danger. Now, I know those guys love Alvin Kamara, but you can't tell me some of those guys on the team, just like the Cleveland Indians with the couple kids that went off the jurisdiction. You're trying to fight for a championship, and Alvin Kamara's at a strip club or wherever he's at, and you got to think there's players on the team are not happy that he took that risk. So now here he comes back. What if he fumbles on the first series? Everybody starts giving him side eyes on the sideline. Michael Thomas. Yeah, he's back, but he's been hurt for 2 months. So I'm the one that's coming up with, I got a million reasons.
This is why I'm glad that we're friends, because you are such good energy right now. I need this because I was getting to be Dionne Downer, and I don't want to be that way. I want to be optimistic.
This is going to be a breeze.
Please, we're going to be celebrating. We're going to roll from the Bears right into the Browns. It's going to be great.
It's going to be nothing. Bear man.
Look at that.
Get him down there. Get him down there.
He should be among the 4,000 or whatever. He should.
Man, yeah, their tickets are for sale. They were in the 3,000s to start the week. They've now fallen. You can get them on StubHub, but you can only get them in pairs. If you try to get one, it's like $1,000. But now you can get 2 tickets, and then they're like 450 a piece, probably like 500 with tax. That's a lot of money.
That's
I wouldn't.
A lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I'm not. I'm not doing that. If it was the Super Bowl or NFC Championship, something like that, but driving down to New Orleans, there are some Bears fans I know that are going to be there, so that'll be. I'm curious as to how many, because I know Saints fans will probably keep most of the tickets they have.
Totally.
Let's say, was Kamara, was he a close contact, or was he actually diagnosed with COVID? Does anybody know?
A close contact.
Because if he actually had close contact, because he was only out 1 week, right? He played week 16.
I think it was just close contact.
Okay. Because I was going to say, if he actually had symptoms of it, if you got it, you could have lost some weight. You could have, you could be experiencing things that we don't know about. But I don't think he'd be
yesterday. He was practicing by himself, like he was training by himself. So I think he was just isolated. So it must have been a close contact thing. Not unfortunately. I mean, that is good, but he's not going to have lost a step.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
So, Dionne, again, we appreciate all your time tonight. I was trying to sift through because we've had a million comments. Everybody in the chat's been really enjoying this interview. And I was trying to find a question, but I know it was way back in the back. So I'm sure we've covered everything, Dionne. And again, we appreciate all your time. It's the second time coming on here on Brags.
I'm honored.
And I got a new computer now. Now I'm high definition and the internet. No more internet issues. Cross our fingers there. I don't want to jinx it. But we appreciate all your coverage all year long. Hopefully next year I can get back in the stands and have some fun. But you guys really brought it this year. All you guys on the beat. I know Chubbs gives you a hard time, but I appreciate it because we can't be there. So all these little tidbits of information are what get us through the week, get us to Sunday. So it's exciting stuff, and you always do such a fantastic job on the Bears beat. I know our man Don watching right now can attest. This is my favorite right here.
I need to frame that picture and hang it on my wall.
Really, truly.
I definitely do.
It's all-time great. All-time great. You're in the Bears Hall of Fame for that one. One day when we get back to normal, Don and their whole crew, the Chicago Bears Tailgating Club, tailgates at the corner of Wabash and Cermak. That I'm giving you the open invitation. Any game you want, come to the tailgate. We will show you a great time before a Bears game. It's unbelievable. They do the national anthem. Everybody stops for a minute. Everybody's got RVs with the best food you'll ever have in the world. It's a lot of fun. And I promise when we get back to normal, it'll be the first thing I know a lot of people are going to want to do. So,
oh my gosh, I'm in. I would love that so much. You don't even know. That'd be so fun.
All right, Dionne. Well, we'll catch up with you soon. Hopefully, we're continuing through the playoffs, and we'll see how it all goes. But you enjoy your weekend, and best of luck to your Ohio State Buckeyes and everybody.
Thank you.
And Cleveland Browns.
And Cleveland Browns. How do you feel about that game before we let you jet?
The Browns, COVID has hit them hard. They had their first practice today of the whole week, and they're playing the Steelers again.
That's their luck, isn't it? Is it going to come down to a Cody Parkey field goal?
That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, as much as the Bears are the Bears and it's such a Bears thing to do, we have the same reactions for the Browns. Right. That would be such a Browns thing to have happen. Right.
They've had the warning signs, and they have the whole Bears 2018 season to look at too. So they really don't have an excuse here if it happens to them.
Yeah.
No, you knew what you were signing. Yeah. They have no one but themselves to blame. You're right.
So once
I'm
again,
the Browns. Let's go Browns.
There you go. So once again, Dionne Miller from ABC7 Chicago. Really appreciate all your time. And
anytime.
Yeah, thank you. We'll definitely take you up on that because you're one of our favorite guests without question.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. Anytime you want, I will come on and chat about anything, but I know it's more Bears centric.
No, we're doing Bears. I'm very Bears focused. That's kind of how I got, people to pay attention to my, ridiculousness, but I'm in the Wrigley Field bleachers all the same and everywhere else. So, once football season's over, we're going to cover March Madness and Cubs baseball. I'm a Cubs fan, so yeah, and I've seen you there many a times covering, all the great players over there. And it's going to be the dark day, so it'll be just me and a few other people there the next few years. So you'll be hearing me.
It'll be a
we'll do some live shots while we're at Wrigley because no one's going to be there. Yeah, it'll be us and Danny Rocket and the bleacher gang. So we'll catch up with you here real soon, Dionne. Go Bears, and
go Bears.
We'll see if they can prove us all wrong, right?
Let's hope so.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, talk to you soon.
All right, that's Dionne Miller from ABC7 Chicago, working the Bears beat, working the Chicago sports beat. She absolutely is the best. And
you like this header I made, the Super Wild Card Spectacular?
I really do. It's
like that?
It's very
it's just
nice.
so appropriate. The Super Wild Card is such an interesting moniker to give to this weekend that I had to play it up a little bit.
Well, they added it, with the extra 2 games. To me, Wild Card weekend and divisional weekend of football are 2 of the best weekends for any football fan. And now all of a sudden, Wild Card might take the cake because you got 3 games on each day as opposed to 2. So
you're used to it.
Yeah, I always used to kind of say divisional was better than wild card because it was the same amount of games, but the implications are higher in the next round. But now with 6 games being in the wild card, and that's here to stay. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, hey, the Bears got in on a COVID technicality. No, this is a rule that is here forever, and we will always have the playoff structure this way. And in fact, next year there's going to be a 17-game season, and that's how it'll be going forward forever as well. So, it changes. That's how it is in the NFL. And the Bears finally got some kind of rule change that's to their advantage. They changed the kickoff rule just to screw us. So we finally got one back, Jake. And, I'm excited for this game, man. I know we had Dionne hop right in. And, before we move on to our next segment with Johnny B, making you some money from your couch, I do want to hear your thoughts here. I was, like I was talking about with Dionne, the thing that really has been sticking out to me is because everything is about Mitch. We know what the defense needs to do. Our expectations are very high of the defense each week, and obviously they're not putting that out there. But the whole story is Mitch every Sunday. What is Mitch going to do? And, if he comes out scared like he did last week, they're going to lose. But if he can come out with a little bit of an edge, they have a shot because that injects confidence within the entire team. So that's what I want to know from Mitch. And then, like I was, trying to pick at with Dionne, as far as what he's learned, as far as what he can tell Nagy, I did have one more clip from him about being more aggressive in this game, because that was my biggest criticism of the last game. They played scared. He played scared. Nagy coach scared, or whoever was calling the plays. It just felt that way. I can't prove it with my football acumen. It's just what my eyes and my gut tell me. So these were Mitch's thoughts about being more aggressive in this game, and I want to hear your thoughts about that, coming off it.
Hey, Mitch, you guys obviously took a lot of chances in the game against Green Bay and going for it on 4th down as much as you did. But do you guys have to do that even more in this game against the Saints? Take more chances, whether it's on 4th down or just more shots downfield?
Yeah, I think we definitely need to open it up a little bit. As far as staying aggressive, I like going for it on 4th down. I think that's just a mindset. But I think more importantly, we got to score touchdowns in the red zone. So once we get those, whether you're converting on 3rd down or 4th down, it's important to stay on the field. But after we saw from last game, it's even more important to finish with touchdowns instead of field goals. Our special teams unit is doing incredible. And we got to keep that going, but we got to help our team and put our defense in better positions by finishing with touchdowns. And that just makes you a better offense and a better team. So I think that's the main improvement we want to see this week.
So there it is, and it just sticks out to me when he talks about.
Did you see the passing chart? Did you see the passing chart from last week that were floating around, and even the passing chart from the Texans game? You see all of these. So many things are coming. How many things beyond 10 yards?
The people that put those charts out claim that the reason those charts are the way they are is because they don't trust Mitch to make those plays. If they did open it up, he would just throw interceptions. I saw another guy. I think it was Jacob Infante from Windy City Gridiron had a thing about his numbers throughout the season on deep ball accuracy. But Mitch is saying there in that presser that he call them is basically what he said. I want to be more aggressive. And that's a direct, comment coming from what they just did in this last game. It's not about the whole season. And to me, that is the key to this game, being more aggressive. But it's a mentality as much as it is about play execution. So,
it's like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
Tyson right there.
Yeah, we started talking about how they need to be aggressive last week and how they need to just fireman language. Just go for it and open it up. And it's the same thing we're talking about this week. But then in game, you're keeping it close. You score first, and then you get in a position where any other week you're probably like, we're not kicking field goals here, and you resort to field goals because you think you're playing the game tight. It's always like we have nothing to lose, but then in the game when you're keeping it close, you get conservative because you're like, we think we can win this by doing what we're doing. But in the end, it ended up biting the Bears in the ass because they didn't take more opportunities in the red zone and they settled for field goals. So
I want to give you your opportunity here because I know you were texting me saying, I'm ready to give you some shit for your prediction that I immediately made following the Packers game. And, just in general, my hopeless optimism. And I'm, you heard with Dionne some of my different reasonings for why I feel this way. First, it was a gut feeling, but now I have these little tidbits that add to my gut, then this is the biggest one for this season. Home teams did not. This is the first time in NFL history home teams had a losing record at home. And home teams already have a tough time winning at home in the wild card weekend, as I showed in those tweets, because all the pressure is on them. And, it's a nothing to lose mentality for most teams that are the bottom seed in each conference. And this is how it happens in the NFL. Most games are decided by, a couple plays, a game of inches. That's what they call it. So, do you buy into all the fluff that I'm trying to shove down your throat, or you standing strong in the idea that
sure, I buy into that. The only problem is what the Bears are trotting out up against these Saints, because I don't see a lot of matchup opportunities for the Bears that they can exploit. And I think one of the main X factors of the to win this week is for Mitch to let himself run and open himself up. And if he breaks his collarbone or if he breaks his leg, so be it. But go crazy, open it, leave it all on the field, because this might very well be your last game as a Bear. So just sacrifice your body for the team, because I feel like if he is open to just running and don't be afraid, that could be something that really works in their benefit. There are things, Akeem Hicks hates the Saints. There's a storyline you want to get into.
Yep.
He could be a monster and destroy that team. Maybe he does. Jimmy Graham is the next Saint. Maybe he has a hell of a game.
It's true.
There's plenty of things.
Some demons to exercise there.
Yeah, absolutely. They traded him for a center. So maybe
Miller got his screwed touchdown and his career ended there, where he almost lost his life. And I know Zach and Mitch Trubisky are really good friends. Zach once scared him.
Yeah, exercise the Zach Miller demons. They should bring him down with them.
Those are the mojos that are playing into this. And also the Saints, as much as Bears fans talk about their angst for the refs and, crying about the refs is always, a little bush league, but you got to do it, especially when you're a Bears fan, because you get no calls. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers getting like 4 no delay of game calls last week. It's almost a joke to this point, but now we go and play the Saints, who literally think the NFL has a conspiracy against them. So every little call that goes against them, Sean Payton and the Saints, they lose their minds every time. I mean, when the Rams and Saints were playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl and they made that atrocious call that kept the Saints out of the Super Bowl, the game was still going on, and Sean Payton wanted nothing of it. He's just drilling the ref up and down the sideline while they're in overtime, well after the bad call had already occurred. In a game, you're going to have a million bad calls. So the Saints react very poorly to those kind of moments. So this is playoff football. Those moments are coming. More than likely, this game is going to be close. So
and this is the other thing. Jeff touches on this. I was going to mention. This needs to happen. Like the pass rush
that needed to happen last week.
Yeah, it needed to happen last week. But the pass rush that you're paying for right now needs to dominate this game if you're going to win, in my mind. And the defense has to step up and has to make plays, because you're going to be out of Roquan Smith more than likely. You're going to, you're probably you got Duke Shelley. I don't know if Jalen plays. I don't know
Seems like he might.
I don't know what kind of snaps he's going to get. I hope he can play and play well. But Eddie Jackson needs to step up. I mean,
first time Eddie Jackson is playing in a playoff game this time, because he didn't play in 2018. So it's a little bit of a redemption game for him.
And hurt his ankle. So
exactly right. Point. So that's I saw somebody bring that up on Twitter. Actually, I should have given him a proper shout out. But yeah, it's his first game coming back from the playoffs. He's gonna want to really make up for that. They would have won that game if Eddie Jackson plays last time. So,
like we were saying with Dionne, the most maddening thing about this team, especially the defense, is the talent is there. They're so talented. I know that not having Roquan is a huge blow, and I think Josh Woods is injured too. So that's going to be a major hole that you have to cover up in this defense. But my God, the pass rush is good. I mean, these guys are good players. They need to step up and they need to get home. And I feel like that's the key to everything. If you make Drew Brees uncomfortable all day, that is the key to winning this game.
Yep. My keys last week were get to the quarterback and don't turn the ball over. And those are the two. They have to have a clean game this week and create chaos on their end. So that's when you're a team that's the underdog, you got to have those little moments. I mean, the chances of them having a 3-touchdown first half and getting comfy in that way are slim. It's going to be a dogfight. You want it to be a dogfight if you're a Bears.
Yeah.
Last week against the Packers, it was a dogfight for 3 quarters, and they kind of had lucked their way into it being a dogfight. But you could argue the Packers had some fortuitous moments with Cole Kmet's fumble where, some people after the game showed that it looked like he was down. Those kind of moments that flipped the game very quickly.
It was I don't even fault him for that necessarily. That's such a freak little thing.
Well, that's another reason why they need to open
he's really
it up.
emerging, and
that's another reason
I like
why
him.
Listen, absolutely. He's proven me wrong because I booed him the day we picked him, and he didn't do much in the first half, and I was starting to question it because as a Notre Dame fan, I didn't personally see this guy that was like standing out. It was Chase Claypool when you tuned into Notre Dame football. He was making all the plays, and I'm no football expert, so I was willing to give it a chance. He has proved me wrong, tenfold here in the second half. He looks like a brute force out there trucking dudes over. If I was talking to somebody this earlier today about Nick Henderson, my good buddy that's the Eagles fan. We went to the Bears-Eagles playoff game with. I told him, take Cole Kmet for Bears' first touchdown. He's just one of those guys right now that's hot. I'd definitely be looking at him as somebody that's going to make a play in this game. So
Chubbs makes a good point too. I mean, obviously the Saints have an incredible rushing attack, but the Bears have been better against the run lately. They played a good game against Dalvin. They played a pretty good game against the Packers running backs last week. They played them strong. So I feel like they can play a good game against these running backs, but you got to be able to get home too. You got to be able to make them uncomfortable in that regard. So 100%. I don't know. It's like we're talking about like, yeah, of course, if they do all these things, they should win the game.
But that's football. That's football. I mean, they're not going to blow them out. They're the same as last week. We weren't going to blow the Packers out.
No,
we can get them in a good game, or we can get blown out. Those are our two options. So that's
like I said. I mean, there isn't any matchup in this game that I don't give the advantage to the Saints. So the Bears are going to have to want it more. They're just going to have to execute and be nasty and play some hard-nosed football, and let's go.
Those and have some things go your way. And that's what we saw unfold in the beginning of the Packers game last week. They get the early touchdown, and then they get the fumble on special teams. Those are the little things they're going to need in this game as well. And like I said, Drew Brees, has had his injuries this year, and I don't know what the injury status is on Taysom Hill. I know he had gotten banged up at the end of the last game, but I don't think I heard anything to that extent as far as his availability. So I won't speak on it, but one thing I do need to do before we move on to the next segment, of course, is give my guy a little shout out. I don't mean to cut our little Bears talk off, but we're going to get back into Bears talk as soon as we get into our playoff pick'ems. But before we do that, I have to read my good old lines from my good old buddy, Brian Potter. And I got to tell you guys, if you haven't gone over to his website and checked out some of their cool stuff, you're missing out. And that being said, that Dionne Miller of ABC7 Chicago interview was brought to you by Fanbags Cornhole, Chicago's official supplier of professional cornhole boards and bags. Choose from any of their officially licensed designs or have my boy Brian design a custom set using anything from a selfie to your company's logo. Visit www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS to get 10% off your entire order. That's www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS for 10% off. Step up your game with Fanbags Cornhole. You're gonna do it with me.
I'm sorry. I got. Chubbs was right. Cook did have a pretty good game that second go around, but I think they played him tough for a while. I'll just say that. Why not?
But I got and I'm halfway through reading this, and I got Shane Marsaw and Phil Atoshin, Tape Never Lies Network goofs, texting me, harassing me. That's right, Shane. I have a Dell now. My computer is otherworldly. My internet soon will be otherworldly once I ever find a house, which may never happen. So I'll have to move into Johnny's humble abode. I got to see that the other day, and he's got plenty of space in his basement. But I don't know if he wants me down there yelling. Johnny B, welcome back, as you always are, every single week here on Brags in the Stands. How we doing today, Johnny B? You living good?
We're doing well. And, of course, this week, the TV, the main TV, the 82-inch, is available for any NFL game because I won't be watching my team. I'll be rooting for other people's team.
There we go.
Sorry. So
this guy.
The 82-inch is available Sunday if you need it.
What a generous man.
Hey, we got but 2 is greater than 1, and we apparently have both these quarterbacks on the right. So
I'm against that. Well, I'm against trying to trade for Deshaun, and maybe I'm in the minority there.
We've had these crazy tea leaves cross the Twitter streets. Deshaun playing a little hokey pokey with the Bears fans, following random Chicago weathermen here in the city of Chicago because we're all digging up his old tweets showing love to Chicago. Do you think the Bears need to right this wrong and sell the farm for Deshaun Watson, or we've already rode up that creek too far giving up picks?
Do they have enough farm to give is the question.
I mean, we've got first-round picks now. They're back because the 2 we gave up are done now with Khalil the last 2 years.
We'd have to dish out some players, I think, too.
I think some players would
have to relieve some contract or some cap problems.
Two first-round picks for Jamal Adams not too long ago.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
I think it would have to be a lot. What I'm kind of feeling and hearing is that Miami is panicked with Tua and that he's not looking so good. The lefty quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. It kind of sucks because I'm left-handed, but they don't do too well. You got a couple of guys like Steve Young and Michael Vick, and that's pretty much it. Maybe 1 or 2 other ones I'm forgetting. But I heard that Miami might be panicking a little bit, and they're maybe going to try to get a little package with Tua and that first-round pick from this year to get that done. But we'll see.
Give them back their own pick that they gave them for
pick. That's right.
Yeah. My mind is the Bears just need to commit to attempting to draft quarterbacks. And I got in a conversation earlier today on Twitter where someone was talking about it and saying, give them 3 3s, give them 3 2s, give them everything else, and give them Foles and all this stuff. Like that's going to make a difference? Probably not. But I'm of the mind that the Bears just need to commit to drafting quarterbacks, period. Because over the past 2 decades, I think they've drafted 2 quarterbacks, 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and one of those was 6th round. I don't remember what his name is, but he came from Cincinnati or something, I think, the university. But they just need to commit to drafting quarterbacks. There's plenty of times that they could, if they would have been thinking forward, they could have had a Russell Wilson. They could have had Dak Prescott because these are 3rd-round players that they're just not committing to the position. And the Bears have never have good quarterbacks. They should be.
And then you look at a team like the Patriots
on drafting quarterbacks every year. In a couple rounds, just commit to it. And that's what Pace said he was going to do.
Yep.
That's why I have such an issue with the guy too. Not the only reason, but the Bears have such an atrocious history of quarterbacks. Like, you should just be going all in on these guys, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. When you consider the Patriots and how many times they've drafted a quarterback just over the last 10 years, and they have the greatest quarterback of all time in their stable. They don't have anything to worry about. He don't even get touched because he gets rid of it.
What was that? Drafted 10 quarterbacks in the time that they had Tom Brady on their team.
And like you said, the bigger indictment is Ryan Pace's broken promise. Especially in years, you can understand maybe not doing it every year, even though he said it, but to not do it the majority of the years when you said that is even worse, especially in years where you need it. So it's unexpected. Yeah, we had Nathan Fails, but it was actually David Fails.
Don't forget too, the Patriots on a couple of those quarterbacks that they drafted that they didn't really use. They got they got draft capital back for him, whether it be Jimmy G, whether it be Jacoby Brissett. So they drafted these guys with no intention of them really playing, just as backup roles, develop them a little bit, and then use that Patriot name and turn it into more draft capital down the road.
Yeah. And the Bears have never quite had staffs that develop quarterbacks or have had that ability to really bring the best out of a quarterback. And I don't even know if Nagy has that ability. So I understand that might be a hindrance, but it's like you got to just take some swings. And Chubbs has a good comment here. In the later rounds, what quarterbacks the last 4 years were good. I understand that. I totally understand that. But it doesn't mean that you don't take a swing on a prospect you like or somebody that has potential.
But they do have to like them. And those people have to be
like
there.
them.
So I get his point, but at the same time, when the Bears aren't doing it ever, that's
and for the record, I'm not saying like you're gonna randomly find Nathan Enderle is who I was thinking of. That's who I was thinking.
Oh, so many great great names. We got this guy. Look at him. He's ready. He's lasered. He hears everybody talking about him getting replaced, and he hears Black. And he's just ready.
That was it. No, it was Dan Lefevre.
Dan Lefevre from Michigan.
He sixth round pick.
Wasn't he from like Michigan, Central,
from Cincinnati
or Wisconsin? No, it was a school in Wisconsin, and it was the lower tier college, and he had like the most touchdowns ever there, or something like that. I'm pretty sure because he looked
Central Michigan.
Was it?
I think so. I don't know. I'm looking up.
He was that Dan Lefevre. Oh yeah. Dan Lefevre is from Central Michigan.
Yeah,
David Fales, I believe, was the one that came from like Whitewater, Wisconsin, or something like that. But
whatever.
They're all terrible.
I'm not saying that you're going to take swings at third, fourth round guys, and one of them is going to be Dak Prescott. But I mean, like, engage in the position, invest in the position, and make it your priority. You are the Bears. You should be doing everything you can to try and find a guy with some upside and get him on this team. So I'm a big proponent of going all in on drafting quarterbacks.
So
more so than and Watson has his knees have been reconstructed a few times. I think both of them. So it's who knows. Of course.
Good. And if you have an opportunity to get him, it's almost like you talk about exercising demons for the Bears this Sunday. If you had an opportunity to get Deshaun Watson and right that wrong for not drafting him, everybody pins me as this huge Mitch guy. And Adam, my neighbor, can tell you the night we drafted him, I was losing my mind because when we traded up, it was obvious they were going to draft Deshaun Watson. Who else would you trade up for from 3 to 2? You're getting a quarterback.
That's not what I thought. I thought for sure they were taking Mitch because he was among the media. Chubbs hates the media. Well, the media was very wrong about Mitch because Mitch was a consensus number one overall.
I was very soft and I should have been more into it because we had the number 3 pick, but the Bears were so bad that year and we needed in my mind, we needed a safety and Jamal Adams was available and I'd watched some LSU games. So I was kind of transfixed on getting Jamal Adams and writing that safety ship. We had been through so many different safeties for like 15 years. You could just boom, get them, be done because everyone was saying the quarterbacks weren't going to go until the 10s, which I'm not the one you asked. So I'm just going off of what they say. But as soon as they traded up, my neighbor Adam looks at me. He's like, well, what are they doing? Well, you don't trade up for defensive players. You trade up because you're trying to get your quarterback. And in my mind, I said it verbatim to Adam. I go, well, anybody but that kid from North Carolina because I have no idea who he is. And I
had watched his bowl game, before the draft, whatever bowl game that was, and he had a couple of nice plays, but he did not look good. And
so you have
you and I were pissed. I remember that.
I get there was a lot of injury concern with Deshaun Watson, but to not even really meet with him in the way it seems like they didn't in a fullest capacity. That's why another reason why I don't understand how him getting traded here. I mean, I thought the Bears turned their back on him and spurned him. Now all of a sudden we're going to give up the farm for him. But
the Texans are, from what I've read about, they're really trying to rebuild their defense. Now, if you are like, hey, we'll give you Khalil Mack, we'll give you Kyle Fuller in this deal, and we'll give you 2 first-round picks or something like that. Or 3, I don't know.
That's
maybe
I'm not saying
the Bears need to offload some of this defensive money because otherwise you ain't going to be getting anybody to help.
You've seen the Texans get fleeced a couple times here in the last couple of years between the Cardinals.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson did not look good against the Bears when he played 3 weeks ago here.
So hey, maybe Ryan can actually find somebody dumber than him about giving up picks and players. I don't know, but I also think it's a ridiculous conversation to have 3 days before a Bears game. And I understand it made it newsworthy because Deshaun Watson made it newsworthy by following guys in Chicago and doing the Twitter game. So it's definitely worthy of conversation today, but it feels so dirty talking about because we do have playoff football and the Bears. I know you do, but I'm still in on the money train. So we're going to get to playoff talk here in our pick'ems. But before we do that, we always, every week with our guy Johnny B here, we do a lot of things with Johnny B. And last week we did our duck race, and a lucky winner came away with a signed Peanut Tillman jersey. And what Johnny B specializes in here at Brags in the Stands is making you some money from your couch. He is our gambling aficionado, and that's what he does best all day long. And so with that being said, I'm going to give Johnny B the floor here in his world famous segment, Johnny B for 3.
Oh, world famous. I like the way that sounds for sure.
I like that.
Well, last week was good because we did the show on a Sunday. So it was actually the show picks were game day picks, and the game day picks have been blazing hot. We did go 2-1 last week. The Cowboys, they couldn't get out of the red zone. They couldn't score. So we lost that one. But my tease was easy money with the Colts and the Saints last week. That was easy money. And then our boy, the Chicago Bears, David Montgomery, he got that touchdown early, anytime touchdown score. I just wish they would have gave him the ball on that 4th and 1. I thought just run it down their throat one more time on that 4th and 1. And then who knows? That game was right there. And I think that gives Chicago and Bears fans hope. There's a lot of negativity going out there. But you were within 5 points in the fourth quarter. A couple dropped interceptions. So with that being said, we're 29-11 for the game day picks this season, which is very nice, blazing hot, 51-37 overall. So let's get to it. This week, Johnny B for 3, number 1. I know this guy don't want to throw the ball in the playoffs. His playoff record is terrible. Maybe he gets his first win this week. I don't know. But I like Lamar Jackson over 68 rushing yards. I think he's going to tuck it and run it. So he doesn't have to throw it. Just my opinion. But I like Lamar Jackson over 68 rushing yards with my number 1 pick. Number 2, we're in the playoffs. I know the Bills are hot. Everybody's saying the Bills are hot. I saw this video of Josh Allen dancing, and it made me want to immediately bet the Colts. Worst dancing I've ever seen. I'm going to take the Colts in that defense plus 14 points. Tease with the Seahawks at home plus 3.5. And anytime you can get 14 points in the playoffs, if you can't cover that, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And I'm going to take those 2 tees together for my Johnny B number 2 pick of the week. And obviously the quarterback situation in L.A. for the Rams is all over the place as well. And the number 3 pick, let's go back to that game. I just have a feeling that Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson, the guy that screwed me over so many times this year, I have a feeling that he's going to find a way to score some points, throw some touchdown passes. Maybe those inconsistent quarterbacks for the Rams, give them a couple short fields. And let's take Russell Wilson over 1.5 TD passes, 2 TD passes, get you the money. And that's Johnny B for 3.
You got a bonus pick for everybody today. Is that right, Johnny?
I do have a bonus pick. I totally forgot. Brady haters. I know you're out there. Jealousy, hatred, his cockiness, whatever it is, playing that Washington defensive line that's going to get after him. And he's thrown some picks this year, there's no doubt. So I'm going to take a bonus pick for all the Brady haters out there. Over 0.5 INTs for the game. Not bad odds at minus 121. So if you want to just root for somebody to make one mistake, whether he wins or loses the game, I'm going to do it. I think you should too. Tom Brady over 0.5 INTs. The bonus Brady hater pick of the week on Johnny B for 3.
Johnny B for 4 this week.
Johnny B for 4. Johnny B for 4. Well, Chubbs isn't feeling your third bet, Johnny B. What do you have to say to that? Your third pick is what?
Well, move the Chubbs comment.
Russell Wilson over 1.5 touchdown passes. He doesn't have to feel it. That's fine. That's fine. I know the Rams quarterback's either ugly Ryan Gosling. He sucks and his thumb is broken. And the other guy didn't look great last week either. So I think
who are the Seahawks playing?
The Rams.
The Rams.
And who is on the Rams defensive line?
Okay.
Leonard Floyd.
Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd.
So I'm going your way, Johnny B. I'm no gambling expert. I'm no gambling expert here, but I'm going with you, Johnny B, because I know Chubbs is slick with this stuff, but when they get into the red zone, how are you running it in on those guys? Aaron Donald's
what I know. Russell Wilson has been lately, I don't know, just not, I haven't been feeling it. And I don't know why. I just have this really good feeling that he is going to turn it on a little bit here in the playoffs. They're at home. The Rams quarterback situation is dreadful right now. They're just getting Cooper Kupp back, who is on COVID. The Rams D is fantastic, but they've given up some points in a couple games this year. You can go back and check it out. So that's what I'm going with. So you can.
Hey, Russell's battle tested, all right? He's been there, done that.
Is going to score some points. And I think it's going to be some short fields because of the quarterback situation, which has nothing to do with Aaron Donald. If they turn the ball over, because their quarterback situation isn't that great. I mean,
yeah, this is a very different game. Even last week against the Cardinals' third-string quarterback, or second, or I think he's third, or I don't know. But he, without that pick six, that's a very different game too. So,
yep,
I'm gonna get. I don't blame you, Johnny. I'm on your side here. I'm on your side.
I'm on Johnny's side too.
Enjoy this extra couple of games for Wild Card Weekend and see what happens. That's all you can do. You put your money in good and you hope it hits.
Well, you could be wrong, Chubbs, because you convinced me to bet the Bears when I told you I should have bet the Packers last week because the reverse psychology plays into this, and then the Bears would have beat the Packers. Now I'm full Chubbs train, and I picked them to beat the Saints again this week, not to give away our pick-up.
Give our pick'ems.
Well, I had already said it to Dionne, so I mean, I think everyone knows where I stand. I planted my flag earlier in the week. I said, just shut your mouth and watch it happen was my statement, and I believe it. And I'm defiant.
That was the confidence that you're exuding is why I was giving you such a hard time.
I know it's in my bear heart. It's in my little confidence. It's in my little bear heart right here.
Is your heart in the middle of your chest?
Yeah, that's a weird place for it.
That's where your heart is. You'd be surprised. Your heart is kind of more centered than you'd think. It's not there. That's how you think it is. Just because that's where you put when you do the Pledge of Allegiance.
But that way?
Yeah, that's really more. It's more like here. I feel like. Yeah,
well, he is married to a nurse, so I guess we'll give him that.
Don't trust me here. I'm just talking out of my ass now.
Yeah,
and that's what we're best at here.
That's what we're best at. So should we take a look?
Get into it because I'm on a clean slate, just like the Chicago Bears, clean slate into the playoffs, and I finally have a chance to win something this year.
Let's go the final statistics first.
Oh, we're gonna get there. So before we get there, let's take a look at this here. Congratulations to Mr. Johnny B on his 2020 season Pick'ems Championship. Johnny went a nice 170 and 85. I got in second place. I went 167 and 88. So I was 3 games behind Johnny, and Greg's coming in 13 games behind Johnny
like
at 157 and 98. But to be fair, Greg started picking wild in week 17 just to see what he could get. So if he was just picking regular, it wouldn't have been like that.
It wouldn't have been as far, but
congratulations, Johnny.
I certainly got to step my game up next year if I want to keep up. It's hard to get a gauge on the rest of the league. I feel like you guys are a little more in tune. I'm always got my eyes so locked in on my teams, Bears and Bulls, and it's like it's hard to see the rest of the team, fantasy football, and for these pick'ems. So next year I'm going to try to be a little more in tune heading into the season. This year with COVID too wasn't easy to kind of get a feel for teams.
If we were actually picking spreads, which we can't really doing it so far in advance, that would be even more challenging. That would be probably more fun too.
Crazy.
It'd be hard. It'd be a lot harder too.
Plus, we have to all look at the same line for whatever, either Caesar's Palace or William Hill or whatever, just to make sure the lines are the same. They've been jumping around quite a bit this week already for these games.
What do they have? They had the Bears at -9, I think, to open up the game. I don't know what it's at now, but they're getting major disrespect in Vegas. The Bears are.
Don't be disrespecting my guys. I'm fired up.
Some respect on that name. So let's check this out here. So starting it out here, we got Colts at Bills. We're all taking the Bills across the board. Johnny B gave you a nice pick. plus 14 for the Colts, but he's still taking the Bills to pull that one out.
Correct.
Rams at Seahawks. We are all taking the Seahawks across the board. I mean, for me, I'm thinking about Mr. Unlimited. I'm thinking about an actual offense. I'm thinking about, the Rams being limited in that capacity, and they're at home.
Does anybody know if Goff is playing? I know that.
I think he's
Somebody
close.
in the chat was pretty adamant that Jared Goff.
I mean, he did break his thumb.
No way, Jared Goff isn't playing. So
he had surgery on his thumb. I know that.
He broke his thumb like 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And Wolford did not play all that terrible. His first pass of the game was a pick 6. And then after that, I know I wasn't feeling good because you could see very quickly that the Bears were going to be in a tough battle with the Packers. And so now all of a sudden your eyes start turning to that game, and he immediately threw a pick 6. First play of the game, and I was like, oh, Bears are missing the playoffs. And sure enough, they turned it around, and he even hit a few wheel routes for deep balls. He was getting out and making first downs with his legs. So, I know that Sean McVay will scheme them to give them a chance, and Aaron Donald can blow a game up. We all know that. So, but I'd probably, obviously I picked the Seahawks. So I lean more towards the Seahawks in that one because I'm a Russell Wilson guy. I've been a Russell Wilson guy since he came out of college. He played at Wisconsin and NC State. And if anybody had watched him at either of those, you would have known this guy had the right touch, that right moxie. It's just that you can see it. And it was really disappointing to me that the Bears didn't see it. And I know they had some assistant coaches.
Mike Tice was banging the drum for him.
And anybody that is from the Midwest, he played in Wisconsin. I can understand if you're down in Florida and you're not aware of Russell Wilson, but if you're from around here, it was really frustrating. So I'm a Russell Wilson guy all day.
They were all down as measurables. I remember that very, very well when he was.
And
coming
you could
out.
see right away when he got in the preseason, that was the whole saga with the Seahawks taking 3 swings of the bat with, as Shane Marsh always says, trying to get 3 swings of the bat of a quarterback. That's what the Seahawks did that year. They signed a 5-year deal to the backup quarterback from the Packers because he had 6 touchdown performance. They drafted Russell Wilson, and then they had another guy that was, I think it was Charlie Whitehurst or somebody that was already currently on the team. And, between the 3, they got one right. And that's something the Bears need to try.
I'm not saying they're going to find Russell Wilson, but you don't win if you don't play. You know what I'm saying? So you got to roll the dice.
So that being said, I'm a huge Russell Wilson guy.
Put your money in the table to have a chance.
Right.
What do you call Russell Wilson? Mr. Unlimited.
Well, that's what he calls himself.
Right, I've seen the videos.
Yeah.
He's got Ciara by his side. So Russell Wilson's winning on a lot of different levels. So
he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing all right for himself. So
we got Bucks at Washington. We're also all taking Bucks across the board. I think that's kind of
nobody, Greg. Nobody.
I'm surprised I didn't go Washington football team there because I have been
available.
That I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
That's probably the biggest reason. And that, come on. Although the NFC East has just been such a shit show, you just have no idea what they're going to do. When it's football, it's a coin flip.
I like the Redskins though, man. I don't like them in this game, but I'm telling you,
Chase Young
next year they could be a pretty damn good team. So
hey, I'd probably pick the Redskins more than anybody here on this panel, and that was because I had Terry McLaurin, and B, because of that, I would watch them and saw that they were a scrappy team. So regardless of the joke. Yeah, regardless of the quarterback.
Redskins, when I was on my way back from Kansas City for one of the games, I took Washington versus Pittsburgh straight up money line. Holy cow. And that's before Pittsburgh.
That's when they were undefeated.
Apart a little bit.
Yeah. So, you never know, but the Bucks are rolling, and Antonio Brown's hitting big shot touchdowns that you saw in the last week. I know Tom Brady got him that couple shovel passes so he could hit that money marker for his bonus. And that kind of stuff makes players run through a brick wall for their quarterback. So, I imagine that they're going to come out swinging, and Tom Brady's going to get another crack at it. Wouldn't be crazy for him to get to the Super Bowl, from the NFC at first try, being all those years in the AFC and having that easy road from, the AFC East or whatever conference or division they are. And now he's in the NFC South and makes his way a different path. And you might have to, who knows who It could be the Saints and Drew Brees. It could be Aaron Rodgers. You know, we might see some pretty interesting quarterback matchups unless the Bears blow everything up. So, and I'm certainly rooting for
the
that.
Bears blow everything up.
I always root for the Bears.
So here we got Ravens at Tennessee. Now this one I was a little surprised that I was the only one taking the Titans this week. So I'm taking the Titans. Greg and Johnny are taking the Ravens, and after I saw that I was like, am I missing something? Did COVID strike the Titans? Because I just don't. What are you guys seeing with the Ravens that you like them this week against?
Fire away, Johnny B.
I kind of went back and forth this one. You know, that both teams are obviously good rushing teams. The Ravens have kind of gotten their groove going a little bit. The talent level that they've played against hasn't been that great, but I don't know. I was kind of going back and forth with this, with Derrick Henry and the rushing attack, and I just was kind of leaning more towards the Ravens. Just a gut feeling. Lamar not performing well in his first couple playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think they're going to try to rush the ball, whether it be with the running backs, whether it be with Lamar. And, it was tough. It was almost a coin flip for me, and I just went with my gut on that one. That's it.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say, Lamar is due. It's certainly in the playoffs. As, Johnny said, he's had a couple tough runabouts. I mean, Titans certainly have the firepower. Ryan Tannehill can sling it, and Derrick Henry, most rushing yards, or I saw something in his last 20 games.
They're the number one offense in the league right now. Is that right? Or at least the end of the season, they were the number one scoring offense in the league.
But I don't know. I kind of see the Ravens on this one as well. I like Lamar Jackson as a player and Harbaugh as a coach. He's won a Super Bowl before. Vrabel is certainly a good coach. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. If they hadn't been playing each other, they're both kind of dangerous teams. And I like the Ravens kind of as the underdog. They started the year all hyped, and they kind of got knocked down a peg, and they kind of had to build themselves back up. They got, that rushing attack and everything else. So it's,
Yeah, they played each other this season, right? Isn't that when Vrabel and Harbaugh were all shitty with each other before the game or something? Wasn't that this year that they played each other in the regs?
Well, it's a rematch of last year's playoff game where the Ravens were heavily favored. Lamar had just won the MVP and all that stuff.
Yeah. Titans smacked them.
MVP, I guess. And then they just went in there and just hit him in the mouth. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on for sure.
Teams don't love each other. That's for sure.
They definitely don't like each other. They're not going to, if it was non-COVID, they definitely wouldn't be handing out their hugs to each other. That's for sure.
That's for sure. For sure.
Getting that for sure.
So here we go. Bears at Saints.
Johnny
and I are taking Saints, and Greg is taking the Bears. So before we get in, just to for me, like I said, it's just matchup based. Like I don't like the Bears pretty much. Like there you go, Chubbs. Vegas doesn't like the Bears. The Bears aren't really, there's no favorable matchup here for me. These picks mean nothing. I hope they win.Ll be rooting like hell for them to win.
As I will be rooting for the Bears as well.
Yeah, of course. But it's just for the sake of, if I were picking any other team, random team, based on what I see, based on the matchups, I would take the Saints. And I did.
Yeah, we get the pluses and minuses. It gets
confusing. Say minus? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, plus 10.
We all know it.
Well, who's plus 10 is my guy Money Mitch, and you guys want to just keep doubting him, and he's going to pull up on New Orleans and run havoc.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It would be hard for me to think the guy driving that car and playing in the NFL is going to win. I don't care if he's saving cash. I don't care. If a guy that's his first round draft pick pulls up in this car, I'm going to have a hard time thinking he's going to pull off the upset.
What about this guy? He's got a big sword. He's got a big sword. That's
you got to have the kissing titties.
Well, when you've got Jake doing the graphics, he can make anybody look good. So
I made it look cool. I did.
Mitch had retweeted that picture back in the day, but that was not my
Hicks. I did one of Hicks too, where he was whatever the hell that guy was from Avengers. Who was the bad guy in Avengers?
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos. I did one of Thanos, and he said Liddy, and I was like, I've never heard
like I told with Dionne Miller, you've got everybody, the expert, quote unquote experts, as Chubbs would call them, and in the mainstream media, they're all picking against the Saints. So doesn't that tell you guys something?
Jason La Canfora, he shouldn't even be Why are they even asking him his opinion? He's such trash.
Well, you know, it's the only guy I picked better than on this panel was Jason Leisure, because I pick in the midway minute, as I've said before, for Kevin Kadick. And
he was the one that picked for the Bears last
week. For
a
while, I was rolling. For a while, I was at the top of the leaderboard for pick'ems, and I was actually pretty proud of that, considering how unpredictable the Bears had been. And then when they went on that 6-game slide, it was easy to pick them to lose every game. And then as soon as Mitch came back in, you know, my heartstrings start getting pulled, and you know, and all the different emotions as a fan, and I don't know how to expect them. One week I picked them to win against the Lions and they lose. The next week against the Texans,
that's why
they lose and they win.
Pick the
and
Bears
they just
to win.
become this teeter-totter, which is what I'm used to as a Bears fan, is that teeter-totter. So for me, it is a gut thing. I brought up all the different occurrences when it comes to wild card, different numbers, 11 of the last 20 in the last 10 years, the 6 seed, 9-5 against the 3 seed over the last 7 years, as Brad Biggs shows. Here the road team has won 6 of the last 8 wild card games over the past 2 seasons. Road teams are 8-4. There's a few things working in the Bears' favor. The Bears also played the Saints earlier this year. It went to overtime. The Bears could have easily won that game, even though they really didn't have any business being in overtime, if I remember how that game
came back.
But that's on the Saints for not pulling away. So they also didn't have Drew Brees was available, right? But they didn't have other guys were missing for that game.
A couple guys were missing.
But
the other factor here is I think God, why am I blanking on his name? I think Brees. I think Brees is retiring after this year.
Yes.
So, I mean, if he's like, "Hey guys, this is it for me," they're gonna be extra hard for this guy. So that was a horrible thing I just said, but you know what I mean. They're gonna be balling out for him. So Bears are gonna have to be prepared to lay the smack down just the same.
That's right.
Extra hard for Drew tonight.
Yeah.
The next day.
Yes. I saw his final college game when he was at Purdue playing against Georgia in the Outback Bowl, the first game of the new millennium, January 1st, the year 2000, down in Tampa, and they lost to Georgia. And he's made himself a great career. I did see Mitch reference his career path during press conferences earlier this week. So Mitch certainly has a different idea of what is still to come for him than what everybody's kind of written off, but he's got to step up today, on Sunday. It was, it went the reverse way in 2018. They had all the expectations and the letdown happened. And he was certainly a part of that, not having enough offensive output in the first half. And now here the roles are reversed. As I said, they're the underdogs. No one's expecting them to win. So use that. They talked about it. We showed it in our open. He talked about playing with house money. When you play with house money, you have a little more confidence. Johnny will tell you the house money reference is from gambling. What happens when you have house money, John?
You get a little bit more aggressive, maybe take a little bit more chances, maybe up the bet a little bit to try to, get some winnings, big winnings, use somebody else's money, not money that you earned, to take it to the next level of winning. So that's where house money comes from.
Exactly right. So
push the limits with the house
changes. Money. It changes your mentality. It changes your confidence. When you're playing against the Packers and you're playing tight because you don't want to screw up because you got to make the playoffs. Now you're in. Now it's a totally different mentality. They're the ones that have all the pressure on them. They have to beat the Bears. The Packers last week didn't have to beat the Bears. The Saints have to beat the Bears or else it's an embarrassment to them. So it is house money. And if you have a little momentum go your way, you'll see that kind of confidence and that momentum change within the game. And that's why for everybody and all the guys that are picking against them, and everyone that can't see it, I always laugh at those people because it's football. They
have to play with that no fear. They can't talk about it all week and then
breaks
get into it and then get timid. They got timid against the Packers.
Well, and the breaks also have to go their way. I'm not saying that just because they play with no fear, they're going to win. They have to play with no fear and have some things go their way. That's how this ball of momentum will start. But, step one, step on the field. So, I do believe they have more than a chance. It's going to be just like the last game against the Packers where no one gave them an opportunity to win, and they were in a game for 4 quarters, hottest team in football, 21-16, their side of the field, 4th and 1, and they choose to run an out route to Allen Robinson, and it gets deflected, and everybody's yelling, run the ball. I'm not saying run it, throw it. I'm just saying get the first down.
I was saying run it because the quarterback sneaks were working, and you only needed. I mean, every time that's 4th and 1 or something, and they're running this out of a shotgun formation, I want to rip my hair out because you're putting in extra yards between the small amount that you need. It just seems foolish to me. I understand. Oh, well, I want this running back to have more momentum when he hits the line, but it's like, dude, come on. Everybody knows what's coming. Just get up there, sneak the damn ball. Like it had been working. I don't, if it works great, but it's just like, come on, man.
Right.
But yeah, Chubb says none of that matters. You just go, you play your game, but that's why I want the Bears. I want them to play with no fear. If you want to fake punt, like just go crazy because you are overmatched in this game and you're going to have to pull out all the stops. Sean Payton is no dummy. This dude is a brilliant coach.
Two times in the last 2 years, he's gotten the better of them. I really thought he got the better of them 2 years ago, last year in 2019, when Mitch was just coming back off the bye and we threw it 45 times and ran it for a franchise low 7 or 8 times. And I really only say 6 because I think 2 of them were jet sweeps to wide receivers. So the other 6 were only to running backs. And that was an all-time franchise low. You're talking about the charter franchise in the National Football League. So for Matt Nagy to have that kind of stat on his resume is not good. Now you've got David Montgomery chugging, and you got to use them. And, you saw against the Saints, I talk about all the crazy things that have happened to the Saints in the playoffs, and there are a litany of them. And one of them was one time with an older Matt Hasselbeck, who wasn't that great. Marshawn Lynch put his name on the map the year before Russell Wilson came to the Seahawks and had that crazy run for a touchdown. Had I known I was going to bring it up, I probably would have pulled it because it was one of the greatest runs in NFL history, throwing guys and rumbling.
Yeah, that was just about 10 years ago today or yesterday.
Yeah, I just saw it.
It measured the reaction of the crowd measured on the Richter scale.
On the Richter scale, yeah.
So I'll always remember that. For David Montgomery, that's what we need. We need his Richter scale moment.
David Montgomery is the key to everything. And it's crazy. That's another thing that bothers me about Nagy so much is every single effing week we've been on here being like, give him the ball. Give him the ball. Charles Leno, give him the ball. It's like how long until you figure out that you need to feed a running back, let him get touches, let him get some momentum, and just let him run. And now look at this. He finished the season, top 5 in the league.
Yep.
I think
he's got to be the guy. And that's why, hey, you
unbelievable, man.
Think about the playoff game we went to. It was actually a pretty nice day when we went. So you're not going to say anything about the weather at all when they played the Eagles, but it was nighttime and it is the middle of January. It's cold. They're going to be playing in the dome. So you got to think that the offense
are favorable.
The offense might be able to look a little more fluid than they looked last week. And now it's up to the defense to make a few plays. God forbid. If I dare say anything about the defense, I'm a Mitch apologist. I'm a truther, everything else. No, but it's the truth.
The defense is the identity of this damn team. Chicago Bears football is defense, and that's what the Bears pride themselves on, especially the way that this team is built is to lean on the defense to win you football games. And when they're not doing that, you put a lot of pressure on an understaffed offense. Luckily the O-line has really situated itself, and these guys that you weren't even counting on, like Mustafa and Bars, have emerged themselves as some solid plays.
Right.
That is huge. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
No.
In my opinion, if this offensive line didn't establish themselves the way they did, there would be no playoffs. There'd be no David Montgomery. There'd be nothing. So
the old adage was defense wins championships, and certainly you need a quarterback to win championships in this new era of the NFL. And you probably always needed one, but it was more important on the defense now back in the day. But to win a game, you need your defense. You need that big hitter. That's what I want to see on Sunday. I need that attitude back. I need Jalen Johnson back, please. Obviously I'm not even going to, hope for Roquan because it seems pretty obvious, but you never know. They're playing the poker game as far as his limited status on the player's injury report. So we'll see what happens. I've got the Bears, so maybe that'll be a chance for me to jump ahead in the standings here and maybe get a chance to actually win something here. I didn't win the fantasy league.
We're all at double zeros now in the postseason. So
clean slate. Me and Mitch. Clean slate.
Clean slate. So here we go. Final game of the year. Or final game of the slate. Browns at Steelers. Johnny and I are taking the Browns, and Greggy's taking the Steelers. Hey, you know what? I like the Browns. I like the way the Browns
you want to pull that back up? He's trying to take a picture of his
What are you trying to do, Johnny?
I want to get my championship here.
He likes the championship glory. He likes
like that.
Down there.
I like to document all my victories.
Well, you wanted. Hey, you're gambling. If you had come in last, people would be questioning. Hey, I thought this guy was your gambling guy. So for you to win,
I actually made some really bad picks last week for your benefit because I didn't want.
See, look at him. Look at him.
I'm a very
look at him, Johnny.
considerate person. I didn't want
you see what he's doing, Johnny. this is a technique. Don't fall for it here.
No, I'm kidding. He knows I would have loved to beat Johnny.
What I did was I told you this in the beginning, is I took some really crazy whacked out picks.
What'd you say about Drew Brees being hard?
So I could challenge myself and make the epic comeback for victory, just like my Chiefs did in all 3 games of last year's playoffs. Being down double digits, coming back to win by double digits, including the Super Bowl in Miami on February 2nd.
Greg is looking for your picture there. I knew he was going to pull that.
Hard Rock Stadium, I love you. I miss you.
You're back in the playoffs, and they could get back to the Super Bowl.
They'll be fine. The one team that the Chiefs are going to have a hard time with is the Bills. Other than that,
already beat them.
I know, but the Bills are solid. The Bills are solid. Anything besides that, the AFC is yours.
We're excited.
Travis Kelce, who just is obviously the best tight end in football right now, just basically said, we've been ready for the playoffs since the Super Bowl ended. And I kind of like that. They've been looking forward to the playoffs. I like that kind of focus. So
no shortage of confidence in that, man.
We're 14-2. Last week we didn't play any starters. Guys were playing I never even knew were on the team because there was no training camp this year that I could go to. I saw numbers I'd never seen on the Chiefs in 2 years. And 14-2, and your tight end, number 1 in football, says we've been ready for the playoffs since the Super Bowl ended. I think they're ready.
I think they're ready too. Certainly not betting against the Chiefs. That's for sure.
And they're a well-oiled machine. So you're going to have some fun as you always do.
Yeah, but for this Browns game, Juju Smith-Schuster's already talking shit again. What is wrong with this guy that he's like, oh, the Browns are the Browns, and he's not even a good player really to be spouting his mouth off. He's in all these Pizza Hut commercials and stuff like he's some hot shit, but he's had a bad year. He dances on people's logos. He gets lit up, I like the Browns to just beat their ass. Roethlisberger is is he done after this year? Because he's really just kind of pulled himself across the finish line, it seems like.
But that's why I'm picking them, because the Browns still have to learn how to win. In these kind of situations, crazy things happen, and teams aren't used to it when they first get there. You saw what the 2018 Bears, how that happened to them. The little game of inches and those little plays. The Browns are gonna, in my opinion, fall into that, and then it's gonna come down to the Cody Parkey. It's going right off the post.
I guarantee if they do get out of this game alive, I guarantee that Cody's going to F something up for him
this week.
It's going to happen.
It's fate for him. It's like a magnet. He hit the post how many times this year already for the Browns, and they kept him.
Yeah, it's the same story. He just didn't have he didn't miss 4 field goals in one game like he did for us against the Lions. Wasn't it the Lions he missed? Or it was like extra points and field goals equaled up to 4 or something like that.
And then you look at the Bears over here, and I meant to bring this up with Dionne Miller earlier, and we really haven't talked about
what are you waiting for?
I know. What's that?
They should have extended him probably in season because
look at this record. I mean, that's impressive when you consider some of the great years Robbie Gould had here and how dependable he was for us. So, all of a sudden now the Bears got the kicker situation and Cody's on another team doinking it, for another team. So that's good and makes us laugh.
Let me tell you why I am picking the Browns. I was kind of on the fence, and I saw that Chubbs is also picking the Browns, which it just adds more fuel to the fire why I want the Browns to win. They have an outstanding running game, 2 great running backs, and they can control the clock. That's number 1. Number 2, Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football did this whole piece where he acted out. He acted like this scene out, like he was in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And just watching that clip of Kyle Brandt do that for why he thought the Browns were going to win. I was sitting there making my picks, and I was kind of going back and forth a little bit, and I liked the running game of the Browns. And I said, you know what? I said, this has just made me decide this little skit that Kyle Brandt did that I'm going to go with the Browns. He had me that pumped.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's how Mike Greenberg got me with the Ravens, to be honest. I was listening to his show, and he was talking about how, the Ravens, this is a good spot for them, and he sold me, and that's why I picked the Ravens. So full disclosure, there you go.
Okay.
So
I don't listen to anybody. I just don't listen to I don't watch Good Morning Football. I don't listen to
ESPN 1000. My guy David Kaplan.
That stuff always sways me.
Tomorrow, actually, you guys, I'm going to Patrick Manley. We had Patrick Manley on for Patrick Week last week. And the virtual award ceremony is tomorrow. It's actually at 6 p.m. now, I believe. They moved the time, but anybody can view this on Facebook. It's a live stream just like our show here. And you can watch the Patrick Manley Award and who's going to be these are the finalists for the best long snapper in college football. And, of course, Patrick Manley was the first ever long snapper, drafted, specifically to do long snapping in the NFL. And my guy Darren over at Bernie's Book Bank, when we did this walk, you can see Patrick on the far right, and there's Darren wearing his game-worn jersey, his final game-worn jersey that Patrick ever wore, and of course it was a loss to the freaking Packers, but he wore it for the final mile of that walk, and you see Cap and Hood in the middle. And tomorrow night, you guys, I'm going to this banquet because last year they had the whole dinner with, probably 1,000 people, and people bought tickets, and there was a whole, circus that, was attached to it. But because of this year with COVID, they have to do it virtually. But fortunately for me, with doing the walk, they invited me to go to this dinner. So we're going to have Kaplan and Patrick Manley, and then a bunch of guys that are like CEO of Bernie's Book and all these different places. And then you got Greg here at the end of the table. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I as you can see, I got a shave and a cut so I could look a little less grizzly as I had been looking here on Brags in the Stands, and, going to try to wear something nice. But me, guys, it doesn't take me long to where the Greg comes out. I can only keep my hands in my pockets and my mouth closed for so long. And then eventually I start going off like I am right now. So it's I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be fun.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to be driving, and it's just me going, they didn't want to invite too many people, so unfortunately my wife couldn't go, but I think there's only going to be 12 total people there, and obviously social distancing will still be in place. But yeah, they've got a little food thing, and then you're going to be able to watch what I'm seeing live or whatever. I don't really know how it's going to go, but I am excited to share the stories with you guys. Of course, Kaplan's a good friend of mine, and
catered. Are they giving you food?
Yeah, they made me pick a dish, a chicken. They had 2 different chicken options. So, yeah, it's like a whole
What were the chicken options?
Oh, I'd have to look it up. The one I picked was like a chicken parmesan.
Okay.
Christina from Bernie's Book Bank, she's been so sweet, and she does a lot of great work over there with Bernie's Book Bank. She was the one that's kind of been in contact with me, and she was telling me about the food, and the first option was chicken parmesan with pasta marinara, and then the second option was chicken satay with peanut sauce, pad thai.
Ooh, I would have went with the pad thai for sure.
I'm not a peanut. I don't like peanut butter, peanuts, anything peanut oriented. So no, Jake, growing up, if you recall, one of my many lies of elementary school, and I had a plenty, Johnny, that I don't know if we're going to share on Brags and Stands tonight, but one of mine was that I was allergic to peanut butter because I hated peanut butter so much. So I had the whole school, even the teachers, believing that I was allergic to it, so that when it was peanut butter day, I didn't have to eat the peanut butter sandwich, so I could get like pizza slice or whatever. So now these guys ask me, would you have gone chicken parm or the chicken satay with the peanut and all that stuff?
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair.
I would have went chicken parm, but that's just me.
Okay.
I mean, you say potato, I say potato. You say
chicken parm. Hey, chicken parm is delicious. So
I would have had the lasagna.
You don't eat like a Reese's peanut butter cup? Like you don't eat that?
Nope. Anything peanut, I'm allergic, Jake. I told you.
You said you were. I wasn't paying attention. You said you were allergic.
I say that I lie that I'm allergic.
I
just say it.
Lies.
Yeah.
So okay, but so basically, you live your lie though. So you don't even.
Exactly. I live my lie. It's a very easy thing to do. I'm allergic, and it's just that simple. Get it away from me. I'm allergic.
They make really good like peanut butter whiskey. I don't know if you ever had that. It's actually
anytime
really
I eat it, I get this like thing. It's like mental. Under my tongue, and it's like, and that makes me feel like
you don't eat peanut butter, and that's what peanut butter
makes me feel like I'm allergic because it's like itchy. It makes my like tongue itchy.
You make white noise when you eat peanut butter. That's so weird.
No,
just don't eat peanut butter then. Stay away from
I was trying to simulate it as best I could. I can't help myself.
Okay, well,
but
that's a good story.
So, yeah, hey, we're having fun here at Brags and the Stands, and how we always finish our shows here are sometimes is when I pull some stuff for Top Shots, and I got some things here. So if you bear with me, I know we're closing in on the 2-hour mark, but we got some good stuff here, and some of it pertains to the Saints game. Of course, Johnny B, the last game, we had a little bit of a fight, and John Boy is one of my favorite followers on Twitter. He's a Yankees guy. He broke down the last fight, and I shared it on our last on the episode in November when we played the Saints, but I want to share it again for our viewers tonight because it's truly hilarious, and it'll set up for this weekend because I'm curious to see how Javon Wims is going to conduct himself. Obviously, I don't want him throwing any bows. How I'd like to see him get back at Gardner Johnson is by scoring touchdowns, but before any of those thoughts,
some playing time too if Mooney's not actually on the field.
So he'll have his chance at true revenge as opposed to, slapping him around his helmet. But here's John Boy's kind of thoughts as to what he saw in the fight.
Bears Saints game. It's all these two, Wims and Chauncey Gardner Johnson. This is the first play. Nothing really happens there, but afterwards, Gardner looks at him and says, "Sup, dude? I'm going to pull your mouth guard right off your face mask." He says, "Do it. I dare you." He says, "Okay." Bam. Pulls it. Chucks it. That ref just stumbling into shot, didn't see a thing. Just old ref, just an old ref like, go mark the ball. It's too old, I think. Anyway, mouth guard just on the ground by the huddle, just chilling. Nice big old orange mouth guard. You see it over there. Boom, there it is, hanging out. Then the Bears, here it is, right behind the QB, right behind the running back. Chilling on the ground. No one sees it. No one paying attention to it. The Bears are trying to get themselves organized, figure things out. Almost steps on it. Okay. In motion. He almost steps on it. And then the ref is like, guys, taking way too long. You've taken far too long. You're wasting our time. Now pushes them back right up to the mouth guard. Number 74 has got to line up right in front of it. He sees it. He's like, damn, get this thing out of here. He just chucks it. Goes for a little mouth guard flight way back. Hopefully they don't get pushed back to over there and then they have to line up in front of it again. That'd be funny. He chucks it. Then they go on to I don't know what they did. They had to punt. There was an interception, changeover down, blah, blah. The point is, a lot of time passes by. And Wims is on the sideline just waiting. And here he is. Finally, this is his next shot on the field with Gardner Johnson. This is his next shot on the field with Gardner Johnson. He doesn't have a mouth guard, and he's just been thinking about it nonstop. Play doesn't come to him. He's not involved. Finally, it's over, and now he gets his chance. Hey, bam, bam. Okay, so at this point, Gardner Johnson's like, what? What's up, dude? He's like, that's right. I pulled your mouth guard, and then I punched you. So it would have been real cool, in my opinion, if Wims just came up to him and did a little pop with the mouth guard, and that's all. And it was like, eye for an eye. I don't have one. You don't have one. But then, so then Wims says Gardner Johnson spit on him here, but there's just not enough time for all of that to transpire before the punch, which isn't even a punch because it's like an open-handed palm to the helmet. And Gardner just takes it and then looks at him. I love that Wims, after he throws it, he does this like punch runaway. Like the nerdy kid trying to get the courage to go pick on the bully, throws a punch and runs away right away. So he starts to run away, and then he's like, oh shit, wait, that didn't faze you at all? You don't care about that? I'm going to punch you again. Gardner sees that he's coming at him again, and Gardner's a professional pest, man. I mean, this is what they do. It's an impressive skill. He's like, I'll keep my hands by my side. You can punch me. You'll get suspended. I won't. I won. You lost. See what he does? He sees that he's coming at him again, doesn't defend himself, doesn't do anything, keeps his hands by his side, just takes it to the head, just casually turns. Defend himself, doesn't do anything, keeps his hands by his side, just takes it to the head, just casually turns his head like, okay, dude, do you? You're going to get kicked out. I kind of won. So Wims does that, another palm, and then Jenkins rides him to the ground. Old ref falls down to a knee. He's just, oh my God, I didn't even notice this ref. That's kind of sad. Just kind of falls to the knee and then kind of like grabs 22 and rides him for a little bit. That's all sad. Anyway, Wims, he gets tackled to the ground by Jenkins. They fool around for a while. Then Wims stands up and he starts clapping like he proved something. He's like, yeah. And he starts flexing a little bit. And his own teammates, number 74, is like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. I want to touch your nasty mouth guard again. Leave. His own teammates, the Bears, like, dude, leave. Like, you just embarrassed yourself and everyone. So Wims gets told to leave. He's like, you can't come back. We don't want you anymore. He gives his gloves to a lucky fan, and then that's the end of that.
That's a lucky fan. That's
classic stuff from John Boy over there at John Boy Media. You got to follow him on Twitter. One of the best fans out there doing this kind of stuff, and certainly broke that fight down perfectly. And it's so funny that they're meeting again. You saw Gardner Johnson tweeting he's coming to the city. He tweeted as soon as he found out the Bears were their opponents. So I'm glad that's what he's thinking about, and hopefully Javon has learned his lesson, and he's thinking about doing something on the field as opposed to.
He's lucky to have a job because he doesn't have much. I mean, he doesn't offer a ton to the Bears, I guess, and that was just stupid. And I mean, just the way he handled himself in the fight scenario was just embarrassing. So
yeah,
he could have got cut for just being embarrassing, regardless.
He's lucky he didn't get cut. No question about it. It's easy to go back and laugh at now, but I'm sure, obviously the Bears weren't laughing at all. But at the time, it was pretty funny. But it was also kind of indicative of how much Nagy had lost the locker room at that time. So almost a credit to them for turning it around, because that was one of the darkest, lowest moments of the season. So, but also John Boy, shout out to him for making it, putting a little levity to it. So I'm excited, man. Bears Saints coming up here Sunday at 3:40 my time. Got the wild card weekend. I got,
Greg's time is when it's happening.
Yeah, that's right. Not East Coast.
Not
East
Central.
Coast,
not Central. Greg time.
Greg time. About the East Coast, we talk about what we do in the Midwest, and that's beat up on the New Orleans Saints, baby. This is one of the greatest memories of mine and Jake's life right here. Sexy Rexy to Bernard Berrien for the touchdown. How about it? Those were some great memories, Jake.
Yeah, that was one of the best Bears games I've ever seen in my life.
On another game where the Bears had no chance to win that game going.
No, I wouldn't say that.
They had no chance.
Oh,
People
come on.
were doubting them. Rex was so bad at the second half of that year, and
the Bears had a first round bye that year.
And the Hurricane Katrina story was also attached to them at the time, and people thought they were a team of destiny. And obviously, the Bears, people don't remember, actually had the
they didn't have Thomas Jones.
They had the number one offense in the NFL. The Bears did that season, not just the number one defense. And it was because they ran the ball with authority with Thomas Jones.
Thomas Jones was my favorite Bears running back. I even loved him more than Matt Forte. And we didn't get much Thomas Jones, but man,
you got to try to get him.
Love Thomas Jones. He's so damn good.
Very active on Twitter, and he's been on some shows on Bears Barroom Network when I was on. I never got the chance, I believe, to actually ask him a question. I can't remember.
He's an actor now. Is this man of many talents?
But he's in movies. He was in a few big movies here recently. Which one was it? Oh man, now I'm drawing a blank about the not Jesus Christ, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. He
was
straight out of
Compton.
He was the guy that comes after, the producer as he's going back to his house and he's smoking the cigarette. And I was like, I'm in the theater. I'm like, is that Thomas Jones? Yeah, I agree with you there, Jake. He was one of the greatest Bears, and
my favorite.
Talk about a guy that still talks with a extreme passion for the team. It's certainly him. Here's another great moment in Bears playoff history. How cool is that, guys? I had to play that all the way through just to feel that energy. Don't you miss that?
I know the fans back, man.
And I miss it so much. I cannot wait for the 2021 season to begin.
I'm optimistic that next year it'll be really mostly back to normal. If they get these vaccinations rolled out, which I know that's a bit of a mess right now, I feel like at some point, at least in the season, you're going to have at least half capacity in all stadiums, I would imagine, right?
I agree.
I hope so.
I agree. I'm optimistic by July people will be able to go back into stadiums safely. And I've heard there's different things that are coming out that show that you've been vaccinated, and then I'd imagine that
people get cards.
Exactly. There's this company called Clear, and everybody's going to have that technology soon where then it shows that I don't know. We'll find out. But
whatever, just put them in the stands.
Yeah, hopefully there's answers, soon, and we can get back to that normalcy. But I am confident with you that it is going to be something we can get to by the start of next season. Certainly for football, I'm even holding out hopes for baseball season being able to get back into the bleachers at Wrigley.
Maybe in the summertime,
Yeah, I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here, but you never know, and you just kind of hope for the best at this point. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited. I'm excited for Mitch. We showed this the other day.
Give it to him. You got him.
Well, there it is, man. That's the final moment.
Hit him when he's in single coverage.
And he hit Cravon LeBlanc with the double move, and that was, the peak of the Mitchell Trubisky career train, roller coaster. That was the highest point he had reached, that looked like they were going to get that game was in the bag at that point because Mitch had kind of answered back a couple times, and you really felt like that was the final death blow. And then the offense couldn't put it away at one point, and then the defense couldn't put it away at the very end of the fourth quarter, which ultimately led to the double doink, which I won't share today. I'm only going to share the positives. You can tell, I like giving Jake crap with that video, but no bad juju today. It's to me, this is a chance to reverse all those bad, demons, exercise these demons. I truly believe the Bears have a really good shot to win this game. And, it's basically because no one gives them a shot. And that's how I know all these experts, everybody's picking against them, all those helmets on the right. That normally you'd have Ditka to pick us, but we don't have Ditka. So I'm going to be the Ditka. I'm picking the Bears. I can't wait for it. It's going to be really exciting. I got one more thing from Top Shots. This was a little funny because I'm a huge Batman fan. And I don't know if you guys saw this. This was shared by Bleacher Report Gridiron. It's really funny stuff. I got to share it.
Do you think he's coming back?
I don't know. I'm going to light it back.
Oh no. Oh, my bad, everyone.
I won't trade you, Master Trubisky. I can't. Because that would mean I messed up.
Not gonna lie, my confidence is pretty low right now. Stay away from my team, Foles, please.
You merely adopted controversy. I was born in it.
Oh.
You know, once again, I found myself in a hole.
How dang comic book world gone wacky out there.
Okay, which of us is starting Dolphin Man?
I'm still learning.
And Washington to the playoffs, but without Haskins. No, I renounce my wish.
7-yard screen pass! I did it! I threw left!
Come with me. You don't owe these people anything.
They do constantly bring up the whole Mahomes-Watson thing, but we must fight, Catman.
Man, you play for the Jags once and that follows you forever.
Sorry to blow up your playoff chances. We want them. Bye!
Put Mitch in now. I'm a good coach.
Yo, we already blew it. You good, bro?
I'm gonna go bombing the road.
Pretty funny stuff. I thought it was interesting. You know, you got Mitch Trubisky flying off. There's Kyler Murray. You know, that's why I don't apologize for this. Kyler Murray had 16 games to make the playoffs, and he didn't get in. So here's Mitch with his opportunity to right some wrongs. I'm excited for it, man. I can't wait.
Hey, this might be the last time you ever see Mitchell Trubisky in a Bears uniform. So savor your boy, because this may be your last.
What'd you just say to me? It's not his last game. He's taking it personally.
Ready in that picture. Holy cow!
They kept MJ's earring in on one side, so it's his earring like in the side of his
That's
neck.
right. You know, maybe the last time we share this picture, I'm sure we'll share it a few more times if he for the final.
It'll always be on your refrigerator.
But always be on my refrigerator. He's my guy. I root for him. So what? If that makes me a truther, so be it. But, you know, I'm not beholden to him. And, you know, I know some Bears fans are looking at old Deshaun, but I still got my eyes on the guy in the middle. We got a big game on Sunday, Bears Saints, and I cannot wait for it. It's exciting stuff. Nickelodeon's covering it.
I can't decide if I should watch the whole game in Nickelodeon or if I'm going to get annoyed with it. I'll test it out for a little bit.
Come to my house and we'll put the real broadcast on one TV, the Bears Nickelodeon cast on the other TV.
Okay.
Broadcast, and then we'll pick some other basketball or something for the other game.
Well, I'll see if I can get a flight back so we can watch the game on multiple TVs.
There you go.
Exciting stuff. So,
are you going to Johnny's, Greg? Johnny just invited you.
You know, like I said,
what are you doing for the game?
We did post game.
We got to do post game.
We got post game. We got work to do. We're trying to give the people what they want, have a little fun.
That's true.
You know, so you know, I hate to turn it down, but you know, even in general, especially for a big game like this, I like to be in my own element because it's not your prototypical game, and I think any fan
bunker.
Sometimes I'll switch it up if I feel like I need a mojo turn. But, I'll probably just be bunkered down, biting my fingernails, cursing at my TV.
Chubbs is taking to beat the Saints, to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
There you go.
Like I like to say, 1 week at a time, baby.
So the path is he beats Drew Brees, then he beats Aaron Rodgers, then he beats either Tom Brady. It'll be Tom Brady, and then in the Super Bowl, it'll be Patrick Mahomes. And everyone will be sitting here. There will probably be hundreds of people in the chat because I will literally rip my shirt off and just start beating my chest like a crazy person. And it's just
if he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in the path I just described. If that happens, you will see the craziest brags you have ever seen in your entire life. And that includes
you said you were going to the Super Bowl if they're in the Super Bowl, right?
I will be. Well, we don't know with the COVID stuff how that will all turn out. But if I have a chance to go and it is doable, obviously the COVID might make it even harder if there's limited tickets to the freaking Super Bowl.
Where is the Super Bowl this year?
Don't doubt me. I'll tell you that.
Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. And no home team has ever been the home team for the Super Bowl. And here's Tom Brady with a chance, if it's his first time ever as the NFC, representative, and he gets to have home field advantage for the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
They smacked up the Packers in Lambeau, right? When they beat them? It was in Lambeau, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was. I don't remember.
No, I think it might have been the other way, but I can't remember. My head's spinning. This season's been too long.
Either way.
It's too much. So I know Chubbs is picking the Bears, and that makes me feel good because he's always good with his upset picks, even though he screwed me last week, but I won't hold it against him. So
come on, you didn't screw you. You would have picked the Bears anyway, right?
Right. No, for sure. So, one more thing I want to share before we go, because Al Fleischman did a great job with this, and it might be the last time, unless, like I said, one more time with Mitch's final exodus. Johnny, did you get a chance to see my own personal parody song for My Love of Mitch. Did you get a chance to see this?
I did not.
All right. Well, I want to share it with you and get your reaction to it because it was really good. And we'll see if you recognize, who the parody is off of. So I'll share this with you. This is from Al Fleischman, a great contributor to this show. And we've been talking, and he's going to do even more contributions. He was sending me a lot of stuff that he's sent over he's worked with television networks, sending parody songs along. And he's going to be a big part of what we're doing here going forward. He's a really good friend that I've met, or a friendly guy that I've met through these Waddle and Sylvie parody contests. I met him last year at the Waddle and Sylvie Christmas show, and we become friendly ever since. So here's Al Fleischman's Greg's love for Mitchell Trubisky.
Reggie was a Bear fanatic raised in Chicago land. And Mitchell from Des Plaines told me is a big Trubisky fan. So he rushed him down to see a doctor. Hey doctor, please check his head. The only thing that was wrong with him was good old number 10. Cause Brags loves Mitch Trubisky, and it'll kill him dead. I heard him talking to Waddle and Sylvie on the radio. Chris Black and Adam Abdallah would kick him off the show, cause he's always talking about Trubisky. Hey, you gotta let it go. 4 years of pain and suffering's gonna put him 6 feet below. Cause Brags loves Mitch Trubisky, and he's gotta go. Take a tip from me, old pal, buddy, can't you see? Ain't no future in that Mitch Trubisky. We're gonna take him to a team of doctors, and they're all gonna shake their heads. The only thing they're gonna tell him to stop cheering for old number 10. Give up on Mitch Trubisky. Won't you do that now?
Is Al Fleischman.
Wow, a tribute song. That's fantastic. I think
made it.
Did they play that on the radio? Do you know?
They haven't yet. No, he made it, after the parody song contest was over. There's I meant to pull that up during the show. I figured
I heard a little bit of it before. It was starting to ring a bell, or maybe it's just that catchy where I thought I heard it.
Well, as I said, I did share it on our previous post-game show because it really fit, because the Bears and Mitch had blown it to the pack. So we were trying to have a little fun here, even though I do get a little testy when people go after my baby boy Mitch, but it's a funny song. And like I said, Al has become friendly, and we've been, in contact talking about different ideas for songs. And he's been open to the idea of doing some more fun stuff here going forward. And I like kind of what it brings. I learned a lot here from Phil Atoshin here, like I said, for the last few years, and he's a music aficionado. And, Carm, Yurko, and Harry, they used to do parody songs back in the day on ESPN 1000 that I always enjoyed. And it's certainly not a talent of mine. Phil will be the first one to tell you any parody song I'm involved in, I always make it take 10 times longer than it should. So Al is clearly talented, and I know his whole family, does little parody songs. We, had some Christmas parodies where daughter was involved. So, Al's going to be a part of Brags in the Stands here, and we appreciate his contributions because, like I said, it's a little fun to have that kind of stuff. But yeah, Chubb's got it wrong. He was guessing Tom Petty parody, then Green Day. Did you recognize who it was right away, Johnny B?
I did not know.
It's Leonard Skinnard.
I knew it. Yeah,
it's one of the deep cuts. It's
the opening track on. I think they're self-titled. It's called. What is the name of the song called? I can't remember. It's a good song though. I like it.
Yeah, we were talking about this last week. We still haven't figured out the name.
I Ain't the One. I think it's called I Ain't the One.
Bring Al on, and he can tell us all about it himself. And that day we'll play some of his different songs that he's, like I said, I think it's either ABC or NBC. He does little, 1-minute parody songs for them for different events. They'll ask him, and he said he liked the idea of being able to do stuff here because he can make them longer than a minute, and he enjoys doing it. So we're gonna let him rip, just like we let Johnny rip, and he's done nothing but
rip it to do.
Nothing but rip it up. We're gonna let more guys get on the wheel and have some fun here and here at Braggs and Stands. That's what we do, man. Looking forward to Sunday. Who knows what kind of coverage we'll bring. Jake and I will talk about that. Maybe we'll do a pregame show. I know the game's at 3:30, so maybe we can hop on for 20 minutes. We always say that, and then it turns into an hour. But, hey, if we're feeling frisky, we might hop on and say hi. We're always going to be on for the postgame show. So I'm excited for Sunday. I feel very good about it. I feel much more confident about it this Sunday than I did last Sunday. But I know that don't mean much because I did pick the Bears to beat the Packers. So what do I know? But you know what? If you're here at Braggs in the Stands, and if you've made it this long into this episode, you're listening to me for some reason. I don't know why, but I appreciate it, and I know Jake and Johnny do as well. We have a lot of fun here. This has been our first, full NFL season, and we actually made it all the way through, and the Bears made it to the playoffs. So
256 games, we made it.
Can you believe it? So I'm going to let Johnny B finish his night off as he always does in his Johnny B for 3 fashion. Take it away, Johnny.
All right, sports fans, NFL fans, you know what time it is. Let's bring on the playoffs, baby. Your Chicago Bears are in it and other teams too. We got 2 extra games for this wild card weekend. I'm not sure if I hate it. I'm not sure if I like it, but I think I'm going to like it because it's more football. It's win or go home, Lombardi or bust. And remember, money won is far sweeter than money earned. Woo! Let's go, playoffs, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
How about them Bears?
Go. How about it? How about them Bears?
How about them Bears?
Making it to the playoffs. We are excited. I know Chubbs and Alex Acevedo are excited. I know my guy Terrence is excited. The only man on this earth that calls me Braggy. I love it. I've been Braggs. He calls me Braggy, and I take a lot of pride in that. So shout out to Terrence. Got to bring him on here. Braggs in the Stands again. We got to see his man cave. We're going to have to see more of what he's got because that Terrence, he's always got something up his sleeve. So shout out to you guys. And we don't know who that guy is. He was, one of the entries for Cordero Patterson back in the day. And we kept him in the hopper, Alex. So how about
He's that good?
Claim to me. Some of that. I can play that hit 1,000 times over. That's what we need this Sunday. Of course, we need my guy, Money Mitch, to step up in the clutch, but we need our defense to show up too. I'm excited for it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in all night long here at Braggs in the Stands, taking away your Friday to have some fun with us. We appreciate you carving out your time. I want to thank Dionne Miller for carving out her time, coming here on Braggs in the Stands for the second time, and she's becoming one of our favorite guests, and we're certainly going to bring her on more often, and I know the chat enjoys them. So again, thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out and being interactive all night long. And again, thank you to Johnny B. Thank you, Jake. I talked through the music as
I even extended for you that time.
We got to have a longer track because I'm going to talk through it.
That was like 3.5 minutes.
One guy that's going to be not doing any talking is this man. So be weary of Khalil Mack. He's coming for you, Mark, my good buddy Mark the Saints fan. And we're wrapping things up here at Braggs in the Stands.
Yeah, are we?
Khalil Mack is doing the talking, and I'm doing the shutting up. Good night, everyone. We'll see you Sunday.
Night.
Down. Night.